India's central US dollar, not just a record short, but smashing the previous record, and it isn't even close. Despite this, I went over this a couple weeks ago. India's rupee is a global bellwether for perceived monetary and economic risk with a stellar track record. And with that in mind, no wonder the Reserve Bank of India is trying desperately to limit the currency's volatility, but we all know that's BS. The latest data from the country India has a shadow banking lending problem. The accelerating decline in that rate since the summertime is only
Oh, sorry. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Not sure if the video just crashed. The intro video. We're just waiting for a moment for Abby to join us. She overslept a little bit. She's been really working real hard, taking care of all kinds of her family and everything, and Thanksgiving, and then working hard trying to get her new job and everything. So gonna have to give her a bit of grace there. I'll just replay the video a little bit. Try and play it again. Sorry that my computer's having so many problems. I've been trying to run the cleanup program, but it crashed on me. My computer fell asleep, and then when I woke it up, it restarted, and the cleanup restarted. So I found that there was 1,800,000 performance issues on the computer, and now I have to wait for the cleanup to count through those performance issues all over again. So that's why my videos are not being. It's been a recurring issue the last few weeks. I haven't been able to play much content from my end. I kind of need Abby here to be able to play things like the video. So for now, maybe I can bring on my guest, Lucy, and we can talk a little bit one-on-one while we wait for Abby here. Because if I try and play the video, I worry it's just going to crash again. So, hey, Lucy, can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you guys are doing this channel. Because it's up to different people to post content and stuff because it can get tiring. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're only doing this one day a week right now, and I can see how if I tried to do even 2 or 3 days a week, that it would get pretty stressful.
Yeah, it's tiring. So I only do it when I feel like it. I don't really take it as seriously. I'm not a real journalist.
Right. But I think that there's a bit of an advantage to that because a lot of people take themselves a little bit too seriously, and while they can provide some good content while doing that, they're often missing the mark and they don't even realize it anymore because it's very difficult to balance being serious and then trying to be more playful or entertaining, and then people often get too entertaining, and then I don't really like watching them because they become unserious. So
Yeah.
I see Abby in the background there, has joined us, so I'm going to add her here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I think I have a cold.
Oh, you have a cold?
So cold.
It's very
Can I
cold.
get a scarf or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, turn that fan off. I need a scarf.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here in Canada. I'm in Windsor, by the way, Ontario, across the border from Detroit. And Abby's down in Louisiana. Baton Rouge, you said?
Baton Rouge. I wish I could have gave you a better introduction, ma'am. I'm so cold. I've been so Tosh had to stay home from work, so I had to. I'm sorry. There we go. We just had a rough couple of days, and it got cold all of a sudden, and then here we go. So excuse the way I look, ma'am. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, Lucy's from New York, and Abby used to be living in New York a while ago.
Oh, where in New York do you live?
I live kind of I live in the suburban part of the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm aware. So I lived in East Village. You know East Village?
Yes.
So this is why I have this long scarf.
Yeah.
Oh, because I live in New York. Oh, this feels so good. Thank you.
So I'm not sure exactly what you wanted to maybe talk about tonight, Lucy. I remember when I reached out a while ago, if you wanted to do an interview, you did a video about the new LaRouche people, like the modern day LaRouche movement. You're talking a bit about Jose Vega and Diane Sayre, and I'd been curious about them because nobody really talks about them much. So
So yeah, so okay. So the LaRouche movement, I think they are real independents, right?
sorry.
Um they're not like Democrats or Republicans or anything like that. Um and they were the ones that started protesting the war in Ukraine, like way back when.
Mm.
Not way, it's not that long ago, but when the Ukraine war started, like, and they, for me, feels like eternity a long time ago, but it really is like 2 years. It's like
Yeah.
2 years. So they started, and I thought that was really good. Like Jose Vega, he like really got out the word that the Joe Biden was a Nord Stream bomber, you know, and then they did those like Rage Against the War Machine rally, against the Ukraine war, and like Tulsi Haggard, she showed up, and there were a bunch of black activists at the time that were like, Tulsi Gabbard is not a real anti-war person, and I agreed with them, but I also like didn't see anybody else really protesting the war in Ukraine, so I kind of like ignored them. Like I'm guilty of that, and I was like,
Okay.
but so there are people that were aware of how LaRouche, um, they kind of shove off everything that they consider like a cultural concern, even though it can be like a harbinger of like bad things to come, right? So for example, um, uh, allying with the Libertarian Party in the in order to like bring more people in, according to them, to protest the war in Ukraine, that was okay with them, but the Libertarian Party is like a Zionist party, right? At this point, and
I'm
they
glad you said
supported.
that.
That one guy with the crazy hair.
they supported Javier Milei, right? So Javier Milei is a Zionist, so you can't pretend that you're not supporting a Zionist party, and then claiming you're anti-war. So like, a lot of different things, and I noticed that there were people that told me like, because I met a lot of different groups. Once you start like protesting, you see a lot of different groups, and like everyone is in their little silos, and they don't like. And you wonder why like people hate everyone, and I think it just kind of comes with. You start becoming more and more hateful once you realize like how much of an agenda everything has behind it, right?
Yeah.
Then you just start hating everyone because what I noticed about the LaRouche movement, and people told me this before, there were these like, I mean, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in the Bronx, right? And one of the older guys was like, no, like, I knew the Young Lords, and we don't like the LaRouche movement, and like LaRouche, the original LaRouche, right? He had written this like weird article that was like about the sexual impotence of the Puerto Rican socialist movement. So the guy was weird, but the guy was pretty weird. And a lot of his stuff, especially, like paranoid too, like he thought like that the feminists were out to get him, and the Puerto Rican socialist movement was out to get him, and like the black activists that are looking for reparations platform are out to get him. So like, but one of the things that they're good at is kind of like realizing that there are people on the left and the right that have come after these populist movements and like infiltrators on all sides, which is true, but for some reason they're more concerned with like the quote unquote identitarian groups than the people that they choose to ally with, like the Tulsi Haggards, the libertarian Millet fans, all of these people who completely have an agenda. And you can see with like these like Tulsi Haggard and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are backed by the RSS, which it turns out is like the largest fascist paramilitary force in the world, that maybe they should have been like a little bit less concerned with the identitarian groups and a little bit more concerned with the people that they think will like increase the popularity of their economic platform. And their economic platform is good, like they support a national public bank and stuff. Like commonsensical economic reforms, like, returning to Glass-Steagall, stuff like that, like stuff that would benefit everyone. But I noticed over time that they just like are always giving these libertarians a pass. They're completely obsessed with the Kennedys, right? And the more so like the more I find out about the Kennedys and like what the real history is with the Kennedys, they did one or two good things, but it doesn't erase like all the shit.
All the shit
garbage.
that they.
Yeah.
And look, do you think Tulsi and Vivek are DEI hires?
Yeah, I think that Tulsi and Vivek are the DEI hires of the Republican
Party.
Yeah, absolutely. So like they want to build a fascist coalition, and these like RSS backed like radical Hindutva extremists, because that's what they are. Like this like Indian movement. By the way, not all Indians or Hindus are extremists. But like India,
there's a caste system.
There's a caste system, and there's also like a radical movement, right, that has taken over a lot of positions in the Indian government, and that they believe themselves to be superior to Indian Christians, Muslims, and Sikhs. So this is like a kind of a fascist coalition, right? And it's not going to be just white people in the fascist coalition. Like, we have that mentality in the United States, right? Because that was, like, kind of the original way it was set up with colonialism. But, you can have your, like, for example, the same way you have your Christian Zionists and your Jewish Zionists, you can have your white supremacists, and then you can have your brown supremacists. It's just like it'll be arranged in a different way, you know, like these people, these Hindutva people are like insane, completely insane. Um, the more I learn about it, like if you check out this Peter Friedrich guy, he wrote a book on it. I ordered the book actually. I haven't read it yet. I've just like watched most of his videos. Um, and that coincides because I went to elementary school in Jackson Heights, which is like right next to the Bengali neighborhood in Queens, and Bangladesh is Muslim, right? So there were a lot of Bengalis there, but like when I was growing up, I didn't really understand. You know, we just lived next door, like we didn't really analyze it in very much depth. But a lot of them hate India, and part of the reason is that India kind of controls a lot of their government. Um, so
It sounds like some Cubans who hate Cuba because like there's like sects of people, right? So
right,
the white Cubans fled Cuba because Cuba became a communist country. They were like, no, but I like my money and my
Yeah.
fame so I got to get out of here.
I'm not sure. I think Bangladesh and India is a different case, and not a very good comparison because
It's not a good comparison, yeah.
because it's like
I
the
was
fascists
just
kicked
saying.
them out, and then they're like I'm not sure too much about Bangladesh and India's like history and background. It's been
And
researched on, but yeah.
right. And I should also say, I don't know much about Queens. I lived in Wood Forest for a little bit. Are you familiar with Wood Forest? But I didn't live there that long. I spent most of my time in Manhattan. So um, that's my experience. I mean, New York is small and compact, but there's a lot of different communities. Like you know what I'm saying.
yeah. So like yeah, there's a lot going on,
It's a
and
lot going on.
there's a lot going on. So you know, I didn't really understand this. Like I remember like years ago, like an Indian friend of mine, you know, they were like kind of like really tiptoeing around um like not saying anything bad about the Muslims, and like I didn't really get it, and I didn't really understand like that they had like a Hindu nationalist movement growing over there that discriminate. I didn't understand anything, you know. To me it was like Indians, Bengalis, a long time ago I couldn't even distinguish them apart. Like I
Well,
couldn't even tell. So but you know
there's colorism in every country. So that much I know about India.
Well, there's when you know about like Lebensraum, and then you know about Israel, and then it becomes easier to understand like the problem with the Hindu supremacists, like India for Indians, Germany for Germans, Israel for Israels. This is not a good way to try. Like that's ethno states for everybody. That's not good for anyone. So
yeah, I mean, basically, there's like a million different ways to arrange an ethno state, right? And it's not just through colorism. You could do it through religion. Like, let's say everybody's the same color. You could separate people through religion and like boost one religion over another. You know, like in Vietnam, they boosted Vietnamese Catholics over the Buddhists, but you know they were all Vietnamese, same color. Uh, or you could do color, like you know what happened in the United States, or it could be through some other, you know, like Uganda, for example. They have like their black misleadership class. They're like Zionists, you know, the leadership of Uganda, because like Uganda is kind of like Argentina. You know, it was like kind of like Israel thought about doing Israel there, but it just didn't happen that way. So you know, they have that.
There's a couple of places.
So there's like lots of different ways you could cut it, by color, by, you know, the Hutus and the Tutsis. I think it was like they elevated the Hutus.
Or the Sunnis and the
Or
Shiites and the...
yeah.
I don't know if they elevated the. Yeah, I'm
Well,
not
the
sure.
Wahhabism seems like some kind of supremacist, right? Religious supremacy. So
Right, that's like a type of thing where they're kind of elevating these like.
I just feel like the easiest way is by color, and then if you don't have that, you're like, oh, well, what else can I do?
Right, the point is like, uh, according to the country, there's a million ways to slice it. So if they don't do it by color, they'll find another way to do it. It's not necessarily by color, but in
Well,
the United States, since we associate, we like associate it with color, a lot of these like Hindutva, like RSS funded politicians that have gotten into office, like literally funded by the RSS, people don't get it because they're like, oh, it's brown people. Well, that doesn't matter. If you're a supremacist, you're a supremacist. It doesn't matter if you're like white, yellow, black, brown, it doesn't matter. If you believe that you're superior, like for whatever reason
you're a
over other people,
Freemason or a
you're
Scientologist,
right.
right?
So, there's like a million ways to slice it. And I like, I think, once people start getting it, and it's happening more and more in the US, like, because you have immigrants coming in, right? And then like the immigrants that are preferred by the US are the ones that are kind of like allied by the deep state. So like, like you'll have your gusanos. Gusanos are not necessarily white, by the way. You can have brown gusanos. You can,
Afro
you can,
Latinos,
whatever. But
whatever.
you can have your gusanos. You can have your Hindutva like extremists. You can have your Saudi, like oil
Monarchs
oligarchs.
with their bloodlines. That's the caste system's basically who you're born to is what makes you superior. But then I guess if you want to make it about color, then we could analyze how much of the caste system just so happens to also be kind of colorist, right? Or like based on color. So
Yeah. And then it's just like kind of funny when these things happen, and it just kind of like goes right over the heads of a lot of Americans, because we're used to like seeing the caste system in a certain way, and then when they slice it up differently, we don't get it right away. But if you follow the money, and it's like, who funds this? Like, who funds Tulsi Haggard? APAC and the RSS. Who funds Vivek? APAC and the RSS.
You are
So then it
you
becomes very simple, it's like,
Tulsi Haggard is driving me insane.
because she is insane, and then people have that like, she drives me insane too. Like I liked her in the beginning because I didn't
No,
know
I
like what.
I just love the way you're saying that.
and Booby Kennedy, if you watch her
It's
show a
my
bit,
first
she's
time
funny.
hearing it.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
like Booby Kennedy's another one, but I guess like most Americans know that like Booby Kennedy, but they have like this nostalgia for like the Kennedys. I don't know, because I kind of get it, because he was like blown up on media as the boyish good looks of JFK, and then they kind of promote him as the only one that.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I watched I think Sabby Sabs, because I'm getting warmer now. We had to turn the temperature down in the house. Sabby Sabs interviewed RFK's campaign manager, a black man, and one of the questions was like, how can you like justify working with Trump? Like, please explain it to us. And he's like, well, you have to understand, his whole family gave his life to the Democratic Party. They helped build it up, and he felt like the Democratic Party betrayed him. And I'm watching like the interview, and I'm like, so because he felt like the Democratic Party betrayed him, he's allowed to betray the entire United States of America, like the entire citizens of this country. Like, make it make sense. I just couldn't understand it. I don't know if you guys saw that interview.
I did see that interview.
Okay.
I watched that interview. I wasn't really convinced by that guy
At
because
all.
yeah, I wasn't convinced. He was like, "Oh, like my mother, she went, as soon as I said RFK was running, she was so excited on name recognition at all." Well, I mean, like that doesn't impress me because like that's about his name and like his family name and his you know how famous he is. It's not about anything he's like done.
Right.
um and then they act like Kennedy was, like civil rights was because of Kennedy. And I really don't think that's true. I think civil rights was because people spent a lot of time fighting for civil rights and then eventually, they kind of folded. That's how I kind of see it.
Well, I
I
think
don't really.
people like Kennedy, I think actually ruined civil rights, right? They went in and tried to kind of control it and subvert it and make it into something it's not, and try and use their
I
money to
know.
influence it. So
Thank
I
you.
agree. Yeah, and the more you like look up what the Kennedys actually did, like they say that he tapped the phones of black activists and they deployed Agent Orange. Like they were the original biological weapons people, the Kennedys.
Hmm.
And they kind of like rolled out uh the red carpet for all of these African leaders, to like, look like they were fostering peace, like supporting African independence, whatever. But in reality, they really kind of didn't want to offend France because like France was like a NATO ally, so it was kind of a show. Like, so I don't really, you know,
what's going on here? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was
yeah.
setting up I was setting it up. You know how you can't set it up, it just automatically comes on. I apologize. Keep going, man.
Oh no, I was just saying it was kind of a show. And then the craziest thing of all is like if you look at those Dr. Shiva Ayadurai videos, like people are acting like Kennedy is gonna save the health of American children or whatever. Well, like it was actually like JFK that like rolled out the vaccine law in 1962. He didn't come out with the natural immunity stuff. And then RFK, he like copied that stuff off of this random doctor from Massachusetts. He like plagiarized the platform, but he supported lockdowns in 2020. He supported the vaccine, and he's allied with big pharma because they want to do this thing called safe vaccines. And all of the vaccine obsessed people, like, I'm sorry, but these people are like clearly one issue voters. Like, they like. They've
But I think
decided to be obsessed with this one thing, like they call the pro-Palestine people one issue voters, and they are the ones that are one issue people. And
what
but
upset
even
me.
if
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I shouldn't cut you off. Yeah,
yeah, so like
I was
even if
just
you're judging only on the vaccine, you're not even really like accurately assessing his background because he's not a scientist. He didn't know anything about natural immunity. He hopped on. He
Like
hopped
Bill
on because it
Gates.
was popular after everybody else already did the work.
Sounds like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Black Life says more celebrity savior complex. Celebrity
yes.
savior, white savior. Yes.
See,
Yeah.
first thing I
Like
heard
we're
of
supposed to
RFK.
just listen to these people, like a rich people savior complex. We're just supposed to listen to them because they have money. Okay, you have
First,
money. You know what I
first thing
have?
I heard. Sorry.
Books.
First thing I heard of
Go ahead,
RF,
Michael. I'm
the first thing I heard of RFK Jr. was about his like child defense thing with his anti-vax stance. That was other than that, I knew obviously that he was a Kennedy, but I knew nothing about the guy until started seeing him in the news and stuff about the the anti-vaccine whatever kind of whole narrative stuff, and then so I was kind of interested in what he had to say, a little bit more naive and gullible. And then as soon as you learn about the Zionist character that he has to go with him, it very much makes it a lot
Oh,
less
he's
credible,
totally a Zionist.
his whole vaccine stance. So you can't have this children's health defense as your slogan when you don't care about the bombing of kids in Gaza. So
Yeah. Rondo says he's a fucking lawyer. And we'll take it one step further. Sean says he's barely a lawyer. What he is a lawyer who bought a law firm that was doing works, and he tried to take credit for the work that they were doing.
but I wouldn't
I
like.
mean,
I'm
he's
still.
like the Elon Musk of the law firms.
Yeah, yeah, because he has the money. Like he doesn't have to work. He has the money to just like buy, and allegedly like people that worked at the Children's Defense Fund did not support his candidacy because they knew what he was like and who he was. So then you have like, the more you go down the Robert Kennedy rabbit hole, it's like a disaster. And the thing is, like in New York, it was very obvious because he was always palling around with this Rabbi Shmuley guy, and like, everybody wanted to dismiss it as one issue, even though he was like constantly going to these Israel parades and all this stuff, right? I went to that event in July of 2023, and it was like basically Bitcoin people,
Oh my
like
God.
Elon Musk fans, and like
Where is Golden Monarch?
yeah,
You
like
start
Rabbi
to see all the
Dildo.
same flags everywhere once you know what they look like.
Yeah, and it was like Rabbi Dildo, and like Rabbi Dildo was like, "Oh, your father died for Israel." Like he was just like saying the craziest
Oh my
shit,
God.
and he does all of these like uh these like defend Jews from anti-Semitism events. That's like all of the events that he's done in New York City. Like 90% are defend Jews from anti-Semitism, and like 10% is like going to the black barber shop to like get his diversity points in.
Yeah, that was
um,
funny, eh?
That was very funny.
the problem in New York is that like there's so many non-Jews and non-black as well. So it's like very diverse. So, like people aren't really eating it up here. And the latest
You
event
can
that he
find
has.
in New York and a lot of places else, you can find people who look like black people that aren't black people, as in, black people who grew up in America as a black person. They just showed up with skin like ours from somewhere else, and they're cosplaying as black for these people and
Well, I mean,
speaking for us. Don't speak for us.
I think the majority of black people in New York are probably from the Caribbean. I would say that's like a good chunk of people. So yeah,
Uh,
so
or African or whatever. Um,
right.
but
So
don't speak for us because you don't know you don't even know our history. We barely were taught our history in public education. So please don't talk for us.
well,
That's
I
all
I
I'm
don't.
saying. Rondo said, I'm sorry. Rondo says, he says, it wasn't funny. It was actually quite insulting. So Rondo, he must be a foundational Black American to say that. It's quite insulting.
It is a difficult issue though to navigate because I find that the ruling class likes to find issues that we can be divided and conquered on, and this seems
Mhm.
like ripe for that. But then the issue with people I'll get all anti woke these days. They say you can't be like being woke is bad, and then the original meaning of woke is like being politically aware of like marginalized issues, specifically the black people. I think it kind of comes from the black people of America. So to say it's not associated with their liberation struggle is probably historically incorrect. So the thing is to be woke in a sense, I guess, for that particular issue would be you have to have a appreciation for that nuance that, like you're saying, they come from a different place, they have a different background history, where they don't necessarily know your history. So for them to speak on your behalf becomes a little bit problematic. Okay, but
Ma-
trying to
ma-
be rising past like division. I mean, there's plenty of people from the Caribbean also had their own slavery and reparations argument too, and that it's kind of about trying to find ways that we can work together, I would say.
Blue Moon, I hope I'm not derailing the conversation. I wanted to like piggyback on what he was saying, but I hope you don't forget what you're saying while I do that. I just thought it was really funny that today I was watching Fox News and it's a black woman. I can't remember her name. Um, so she's talking about the assassin, or I don't know what you want to call him, of the CEO, and it's obviously a white man. Okay, somehow she 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 correlated. She's like, oh, and how can he just do this on the streets? And then we have 58,000 immigrants. So the violence, and I'm like, how did you make it about? How did you take this one incident with this one white man who, I'm not saying he justified, but I understand, and pull 58,000 immigrants into the situation and say the violence in New York is exploding? It was so laughable. I just couldn't even. I was like, how did she even do that? She just did that? Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, I honestly find the whole foundational Black American thing a little unhinged because they're like pulling immigrants into the conversation even in cases where it doesn't really apply. There are
Wait. I'm sorry. Foundational Black Americans are pulling immigrants into.
like they're like starting to like.
Oh no, that's not what I said. That's
Well,
not
that's
what I
just what
said.
Lucy was saying. She's just saying
I
that.
said Fox News.
Okay, wait.
I
The
said Fox
anchor,
News.
the black anchor, like maybe because I noticed that the FBA group, not all of them, but like
Oh no no
some
no
of it.
no. Let's clarify. Okay, so the black anchor on Fox News is not. She doesn't classify herself as a foundational Black American. Those are two different
Okay.
things. Yeah.
That's
So
important, I guess, to clarify.
yeah, that's important to clarify because we were about to go left. We don't want to go left. No, I would consider her their DEI hire. I would
Yes.
consider her like a Black Caucus of the Democratic
Like a
Party.
Hakeem Jeffries or
Yes.
like a Hakeem Jeffries. So
Yes.
I don't know, like I can see some of what people I feel like the whole thing about sometimes people are right about these things. Like if you look at a Vivek Ramaswamy or a Hakeem Jeffries, or like I don't know, like a Kash Patel. These are like kind of immigrants from like higher classes, legal immigrants, by the way, that are like kind of coming in and like speaking for, they like want to speak for. They put them there, as like the brown face, the black face, whatever, right? Because they think people are stupid, um, right? Um, so I agree with that. Um, with the immigrant thing, I really feel like it depends. Like, sometimes people have legitimate concerns about immigrants competing with the local labor force, stuff like that, about like them placing these like upper middle class people in like high positions that like speak for Americans. And other times they're just ratcheting up the culture wars, they're trying to
I
act like
think that's
immigrants are to
yeah,
blame for all their problems.
I think that's
And
what I was specifically speaking on, how she she correlated this one white man who killed this um, CEO and then gathered up 58,000 immigrants that showed up in New York with this one white man who killed this, this white on white crime. And somehow
Right.
she gathered up all the immigrants and made it about them. That's what I was. That's the point I was trying to make. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and like I mean like a lot of these, and this is like a real thing, you know, like the whole there is crime because like a lot of the, you know, like, you know, there have, you know, these reports about like the Venezuelan migration wave. I know for sure like they didn't like really vet that Tren de Aragua gang that crossed the border, because those are like allies of the United States. Like they use that gang to like ratchet up like riots and stuff against Nicolas Maduro, and then they were like, okay, you know, automatic TPS. You guys did a good job. um, you know, they brought those people in. So like that's, but who is most affected by that? It's like the other Hispanics, because like they're the ones that live in proximity with these people.
You know,
You know.
it's very interesting that you say that because, like, if you go to Europe, Europe has a mandate. Well, okay, Europe, not the continent. It's not a continent, but Europe. They have a mandate that you can travel throughout countries. Like once you're there, you can go wherever you want. Paris, Portugal, Spain. I mean, not Spain. Paris, Portugal, wherever, right? Um, because they're all in the vicinity. You can go to Amsterdam. I mean Holland.
Right.
I said Amsterdam.
Like, wouldn't it be great if the
So
Americas were
you
like
already
that?
know. So if America is America, why can't
Yeah.
we just why can't we do the same thing? But we can't because the United States of America is so barbaric that we have done the South America so dirty that we're so scared for them to travel to us. It's almost like how white people in America are to black people. They're so scared that if they gave us the same level of equality, we're gonna like turn on them. Okay, well, maybe stop being so fucking barbaric.
It's not
Yeah,
so
The
deep.
United
like,
States of America is the same way. Like maybe if you stop
Well,
treating
we had
these
to get these
South
people into
Americans
power.
so horrible, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
I mean, if they just stop deposing presidents and stuff, like you might have less immigration, at least from the countries that are directly south. And isn't that what you want? You want less immigration. You're always whining about the immigrants. So stop like invading people, you know, and like taking over their country, like doing dollar supremacy, and you know, maybe less people will you know, feel like they have to go to the United States to work or get evicted from their countries. It's not that hard to understand, but
Not that
you know,
hard.
It's a
they
little
don't
bit
want
like
to do
they
it.
they can't resist the urge to fuck with everybody. They really, it's not so much even about money at the end of the day. It's about power. So if they see you changing your government into something that, like a South American government, into what they want their country to be, if they decided to go left with their politics, well, that's not allowed because America decides what your politics are for you. So
It's kind of funny. Like
Mhm.
I saw this like, um, I think on Danny Haiphong's channel, I saw this interview with Jeffrey Sachs. He's some kind of economist, and he's like talking about the BRICS or whatever, and then he's talking about the West, and it's like, what is the West? Well, like the West, what it used to be is like basically Western Europe, you know, white people, you know, like being used to colonize all of these other countries, etc. But and it is still that to a certain extent, But today, like, he's like, the West is more of like an economic thing, really. They're not really talking about, for example, South Africa, which might have a lot of white people, for example, you know? They're talking about what they mean is West NATO, like the United States, Canada, Europe, Western Europe, and Japan, South Korea,
And New Zealand and Australia.
New Zealand and Australia. That's the West, right? It's not like a geographic term anymore. It used to be a racial term, like a geographic, but it's got kind of gotten rearranged, right? So it's not really. It's
Well, it
kind
was
of.
never something that was going to last forever. I think with the way that the world changes, it was really just kind of only made sense in a certain period of time, and I think that time it's not going to be gone away like overnight, but it is with, I think, the BRICS things that are happening with BRICS. The reason to talk about the West will eventually disappear if the American dollar hegemony disappears. It would be interesting to see 100 years from now. We would never be able to see it, but if nobody even talks about the West like it's the West anymore, you know, if they had a new descriptor for this place. So.
Right, right. And then, like, the West is also like Israel, which isn't even in the West. You know?
It's just imperialist, really. Is the word for the imperialist, capitalist world domination machine, right? And we just call it West.
Yeah, we just call it West. So, like, you know.
That's so interesting. Okay.
And it's kind of funny that Japan and South Korea are like a part of that, you know. Yeah, but I mean, there's still some relationship, obviously, with like, but Japan and South Korea. I don't know if you guys saw that news. I don't really understand it yet. I haven't gotten into
Yeah,
it
it's a little
what happened
confusing.
in South Korea.
Oh, with North Korea.
It is amazing that would have even happened. It's a clear sign of the desperation and crisis that the Korean Peninsula is in at the moment. North Korea has been really doing much stronger than a lot of people realize. People were thinking it was going to collapse because of all the sanctions and everything. They really are misunderstanding the country and the situation. South Korea is the one that does not seem to be able to hold its head above water anymore, because the American, like the U.S., when they're in trouble, they kind of need to screw over their junior partners, their vassal states, need to absorb the blows for them. So all their moves against China, all this Taiwan business, trying to wars that don't need to happen, the consequence is that their allies get screwed completely. Like Japan's currencies is something that would be interesting to talk about one day too, because like I was trying to show the video earlier, like India was apparently massively shorting the US dollar and stuff. And then the Japanese yen is very important, along with the euro. Like there's that whole euro dollar system. That's why I was kind of showing that video. He's got a channel called Euro Dollar University. So people don't really maybe understand the technical workings of the euro dollar system very well, but Japan's currency is very much like plugged into the euro dollar system. Same with South Korea and everything. And this whole stuff that's happening with the BRICS is really threatening that system for being able to make any sense anymore. So,
Michael, do you mind sending that video to me in the private chat? Because it was freezing, and Black Life was like, "Get up!"
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to explain. My computer's got these bad performance issues. I've been trying to run the program to clean it up, but then if my computer crashes, I have to start it all over again. So
I got
hopefully
it. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Look, I just wanted to, like, we keep talking. I just thought this would be funny as a backdrop.
Oh, what is he saying?
I don't know. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of not only policy, but people, and people love him. Brooke Rollins, who put this on with Linda McMahon. Linda has been a great friend of mine for a long time, right, Linda? I want to thank you very much. And the America First Policy Institute, what a job they've done. But I said, you know, the policy is much more important if we do it for 8 years than it is if we do it for 4 years. So I said, let's do this. Don't worry about your policy. Let's get out and let's win the election. but nobody knew we were going to win it the way we wanted. That was a big one. So that was really great. And Javier, I'd like
Please
to
let me know
congratulate
when you
you on
don't
the
hear
job
it
you've done
anymore.
for Argentina. Your speech was beautiful, but the job you've done is incredible. Make Argentina great again. You know, MAGA. He's a MAGA person. And you know, he's doing that. He's actually doing it. Just happens to work with EA. That one we don't have to worry about. It doesn't work so well with other countries, but you know what? I think your numbers are working also. You've done a fantastic job in a very short period of time. It's an honor to have you here. That's really great. Thank you. Also, Speaker Mike Johnson, wherever you may be, Mike, in this very big and crowded room. Thank you, Mike.
Welcome, Daniel.
I went yesterday, just in case, I said, look, I want to tell you I'm behind this man 100%, and he got 100% of the vote from Republicans. Are you sure? You sure, huh? Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Are we ready to let that go?
Yeah. It's
Thank
funny
you.
though, as far as what was happening, I see a lot of people celebrating about the CEO that had a very misfortunate event there due to his own behavior.
Including me.
So I think what I would suggest humbly is that we already know who the real Patriot of the Year is, and that would be the vigilante justice guy. So
Wherever he is. Wait, let me.
I don't really
Take
know what
him off.
happened there. Like, you know, I just kind of saw the things on Twitter and I didn't really read about, so I don't want to like draw a conclusion. But I don't.
Oh, girl, I'll tell you what happened.
Okay, what happened?
it's one of the things that makes every poor person smile a little bit. It's like the submarine guy who went and died.
So what happened, child, was some dude in Mid City, like around 55th Street, you know, in Manhattan, somewhere around Mid City, 54th Street, something like that. I guess he figured out where this man was gonna be, for somehow, I don't know. Some people say it's an inside job. Even if it is, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
So he
because
said,
like, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I just saw someone post that it was an inside job because he was gonna testify about something, but maybe it's just like also bad karma catching up to him. I don't know.
Right. I
always
feel like they're are they reaching with that? Because who said he was testifying? Like, where'd that come from?
I don't know.
I
just
need
somebody I have on my
proof of
Twitter.
that. I need proof. But
Yeah, I
he
don't know.
came out and that dude was like, bop, bop, bop. I'ma fuck him up. I'ma show my stuff. That's Kendrick Lamar, by the way.
Well, people might say because he managed to be so professional and he managed to get away and everything, that this implies that no average person would be able to train themselves so effectively. I think that this is maybe a narrative spin because the ruling class doesn't really want a big story spreading around about maybe the reason why the person did this and the ability.
And this is interesting because I saw on the news today how they were saying how he was not professional because how sloppy he was, blah blah blah. And I was like, what? So which one is it? Is he a professional because he was able to correct the jams so quickly with a silencer, or is he not professional because he wasn't able to and he didn't shoot in the right places? Come on now, tell which one is
Feel
it?
like he got his target.
Either way, I don't care. Either way, I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not diving into this like the first assassination story of Trump. Everyone was a little bit like, "Ooh, I want to know all about this." It was almost like the Kennedy shooting all over again, as far as conspiracy theory world. But this shooting is not going to be like that. This is like the rich guy screwed the poor over, fuck around, find out, end of story, moving on.
End of story. And now everybody's like, the crazy part is people are like making a hit list. Like, well, what about this one? Look what they're doing. Maybe he can get him too. They're like the CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield, who is no longer. Um, she's like, we only pay for anesthesia for a certain amount of time, or like there's a cap on the anesthesia they'll pay, and then after that, the patient has to pay for the rest.
Yeah, if your
No matter how
surgery
long
goes
the surgery
overtime
goes.
for a complication, then you have to pay for the extra anesthesia. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're like, Papa too. I was like, oh my God, social media is off the chain.
Except that there's so much legitimate rage just simmering under the surface there, and they keep like, I'm amazed that the ruling class keeps doing the barbaric things that they do to us, like not giving the most basic decisions, like legislations that could fix the most basic things. They really do seem to be.
Oh.
It's like putting your head inside a crocodile's mouth. It makes no sense to me.
Rondo says 2 hours max for anesthesia. I don't know. I don't know the Rondo is
anesthesia that
pretty
they're like
precise,
charging. If you need anesthesia
so
over 2 hours,
after you've been in surgery over the max, they'll charge you for the rest of it. Blue Cross. That was like a new thing that they're whatever.
Yeah, if you want people to have more faith in the science or whatever that the hospital is pushing, you have to correct these issues with the way that you've financialized and privatized healthcare, because you don't come across as credible, as scientific when you make this kind of judgment, especially when we're factoring in the mental health stuff. If you really take on mental health seriously, you have to understand that financial hardship brings mental health problems, which then translate into physical problems. So then you don't care about the physical problems either, right? So you don't care about healthcare at the end of the day. So,
yeah. And the big issue was United Healthcare, like Sean is pointing out here. They had the most denied claims. And I was saying, oh, United Healthcare, what an irony. So should we start talking about United Healthcare?
it's going to
Medicare
be
for all?
for a while, I think.
I mean, like,
Wonder who the
maybe
next
we should.
CEO will be.
I mean, but maybe we should actually start talking about United Healthcare, as in Medicare for all. That would be great.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So is
yeah,
there
what's
any?
crazy about like the
We
medical
always
freedom
know it
movement
won't
is they
happen.
just put like
Sorry, go ahead,
Say
Lucy.
again?
no, the medical freedom movement is like, it's kind of like the libertarian strain took over, and they were like, like I don't care about Medicare for all because it doesn't address the root problem. It's like, oh yeah, well if you get hit by a car, like you need like immediate help, you're gonna need some kind of, and you don't want to go get into thousands of dollars of debt. It's like that problem hasn't gone away just because it isn't like the political topic of the day. I don't really understand where they're going here, but I
don't
get it. You
understand.
wanna,
Yeah, Lucy, I don't understand libertarians. They're like, keep the government out of everything, and I'm like, okay. So, do you remember when um, fire stations would drive past the fire because you weren't because you weren't covered to go to another fire? Like okay, you could die because you're not on our coverage network. Like what? That's the libertarian point of view to in my mind. I don't understand it. They're like, leave the government out
it's so
of it.
stupid.
It's so
It's so
stupid.
stupid. Yeah, I think like a lot of them are under this delusion. Really, I think it's because it's like the United States hasn't totally gone under the hill, but like once they totally privatize the post office and suburban rail, and like they start cutting all of those services even more than now, I think there'll be very few libertarians left. I really
There's
I
only
have
so
very
much
little
blood you
respect.
can
Like
lose.
they
Like there's
Should
only
I?
so much blood you could lose before you start to feel like you need to stop the bleeding, right? As far as libertarians, like if your
Mm,
philosophy is self-defeating, this is what people kind of think about communists, right? Like if everything you do ends up in a loss, you're going to give up eventually, right? You can't be a communist. Like if they think that communism is a failed idea, will never work, right? Then they see you struggling and they say that you're just an idiot, right? Because you've embraced a philosophy that's doomed to fail. But I see that with libertarians, with conservatives, with liberals, and yet they see that about communists. So I actually been meant to ask you, Lucy, about your politics. Would you consider yourself a communist, or what would you call yourself? Sorry, it looks like you froze there. Am I the only one? Am I the one frozen here, maybe, or?
no, well, I just saw. Well, she's sort of frozen, like
Hopefully
she's
she'll be
moving
back.
very slowly.
If you can hear us, you're
So,
frozen, Lucy.
yeah,
You
she's
might have
moving very slowly. I like to call her Blue Moon because I
blue
love
moon.
red wine,
Yeah.
but I don't want to call out her name.
You can call her Blue Moon too. Yeah. So
Well,
I
if
think
she,
she might have to leave and come back if she's going to be too frozen. I don't know. Sorry.
yeah, you have to leave and come back. Leave and come back. Now she's frozen.
Hmm.
Yep.
That was a
Um.
good conversation though so far.
Yeah. I just find it interesting. I lost my thought. I was thinking about. You know what? Never mind. I can't think about it.
Hmm.
We were talking about something, and you were like you were on a roll. Oh, she's back.
I'm sorry if it's my computer that's slowing things down, but not much I can do about it. So
Here she is.
still a bit slow. Can
Still a bit slow.
you say something?
Well, I'll go then. Um, what were we talking about before? We were talking about, yeah, she very slow. I don't know what's happening. Um, well, I'll just talk about some of the things that I've seen lately in the political sphere while we're waiting for her to come back, because this shit is crazy to me. I've seen the Democratic Party go ham for the pardon of Hunter Biden, as if they forget, and they're acting like the Republican Party is acting like this is the end all be it all, and we're acting like the Clinton didn't pardon his brother, Trump didn't pardon his father-in-law. Like, there, where does the criminality end? Because if we're gonna say that no one is above the law,
Stuff like that, you have to
then
mean it.
stop.
You
Then
can't
stop.
bend that. You can't bend that rule really without everyone recognizing that. Oh, so the rules don't actually mean anything except for who they want it to apply to. So if you take that situation to the conclusion, that's the kind of thing that I really think. If you're on the fence about do we need reform or revolution, I think when you see stuff like what happened with Hunter Biden there, that tips the scales towards revolution, because you cannot reform a system like that. I don't know who you are that's going to argue that, but you'd be wrong, right? Because obviously people have tried all of this time. People are in the process, probably as we speak, of trying to reform this system.
And I'm trying to fix, like, it's like inverse.
It looks like
it looks like a cow.
better there now. There you go.
And the thing is, what pisses me off the most is that they are this cult of personality. So when they do it, it's all justified. When the other person does it, then everybody goes ham. But the other team justifies it. It's like, please tell me, somebody, that you have some sense of morality. Someone needs to stand up and say, enough is enough.
Well, that's where I think the spectacle is really important, where everyone kind of recognizes that the politics is all for show, right? But what it really is like, then they kind of dismiss it as not being extremely harmful, right? But the whole purpose of making it into that obvious spectacle is, I think it's doing some kind of psychological conditioning to us, where even though we see how much of a problem it is and what a solution would be, if we're being conditioned into believing that this is the way that it is, because look at what we see every time we open our eyes, it's going to make it difficult for us to, like, we're being hypnotized, right? We have to break away from the narrative, write our own story.
Lucy, since you just joined, can I call you Blue Moon? I want to call you Blue Moon for some reason.
Yeah. That's why I just put, you just put whatever name on your Twitter or whatever.
So, Blue Moon, what we're discussing is how these two parties are two cults, and the way they, I don't know, fantasize or infantilize each other, or no, themselves rather, is somewhat scarce and disgusting. It's like, it's okay when we do it, but when you do it, all hell breaks loose. And the other way around. And it's been shown over and over and over again. And so we were talking about the pardons from Hunter Biden versus the pardons from Trump, Clinton. Like, I think the American people are so preoccupied with what's going on in their lives, because it's always chaos, because this is America, that they can't even remember when the other team did it versus the other team. Like, our recollection of history is so distorted that we can't formulate a clear picture in our brains to create a timeline that will show us who we actually are. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's like every 4 years, it's the same thing. They just like switch back and forth into the parties. This election, it would have been like an opportunity to break for a third party, and they didn't even do it because of this stupid Robert Kennedy thing that they like placed in front of people, and then the guy just endorsed Donald Trump. It was just like painful to watch, and then all of these booby simps everywhere.
Well,
And
Cornel West too. It's like that nobody could pick a third party that everyone could agree on, because they put out Cornel West and RFK Jr. and like Jill Stein was a good enough choice, I guess, or whatever. But then Green Party also had their own problems, right? So it seems like the third.
I'm not the biggest. I do think that Cornel West said a lot of stuff that was kind of lame. Like he was like, Putin fascist and all this shit. But I really blame the booby fans in this election cycle. Because like they were the ones that were it was like so clear that Robert Kennedy. So I feel like Jill Stein and Cornel West and this guy Dr. Shiva Yadurai, like they all have their flaws. Um but they're still more independent than Bobby Kennedy, because Bobby Kennedy was obviously like rolled out with all of these establishment characters, and they're like trying to convince you that he's like not walking around with Rabbi Dildo, and it was just so in your face that I felt like the people that really believed in it were, they're like, oh, he's just playing 5D chess, he's just pretending to walk around with the rabbi, and like and it was just unbelievable to watch, and then all of these independent channels, and by the way, I used to be a huge Jimmy Dore fan, like huge. I used to really like,
Oh my God, me too.
I
I
was
used
never
to
a
be a.
I liked
Oh
him,
my
right?
gosh, I used to be a huge Jimmy Dore fan.
and then it's just like watching him progress over the years and turn into a Bobby fan. No, I'm done, and it's just I don't, Russell Brand, another, Glenn Greenwald, all of these people are totally up Booby and Tulsi, like that's all they talk about lately, and they're in they're worshiping a personality cult. They're
Oh,
obsessed. They have
have
like
you seen?
AOC derangement syndrome now. They were
Have
criticizing Democrats
Have you
for like
seen
4 years.
Russell Brand is like, he's like wearing this garb, and he's a like on his Christian journey. And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
he's on
what?
his Christian journey, and he's like always showing his hairy chest, and it's like this isn't like the British Austin Powers of independent media. He's like on his conservative Christian journey. Like this is a joke,
Yeah.
That's not modesty for you to be like constantly like exposing yourself in public, and then he's like, oh, the left is like, he is a liberal, right? He's like the classic liberal, like turned conservative, whatever, because they realize it's not that different. He's always like showing his hairy chest on screen.
Well,
I
he's
don't
like
want
a
to see
millionaire podcaster, right? It's like Hassan Abi,
I
Cenk
think
Uygur,
I
not
think
nephew or
this
whatever.
I
Another
think this
example,
would
pretty
be a
looking
good
guy.
time. I think this would be a good time to say, please like, share it, and subscribe. And like, share, and subscribe to Blue Moon Red Wine on YouTube. Because, oh, are we getting any money for this, Michael?
No,
No.
well, something maybe
No.
we should think about. Like we've been going for a year, right? And a lot of people have monetized their channels and stuff, but we gotta put in a lot more work. We need more subscribers if we want to get monetized like that, or set up a Patreon or whatever.
True. But I don't know. I don't think we're gonna ever be selling gold,
No,
or
that would just be if people wanted to show some appreciation, right? If they thought it was worth it, the value for value kind of mentality.
or I don't know, subsidies, or I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's like a grift. It
Well, that's the psychological
very
conditioning
sad.
part that I don't like. Like a lot of the channels I do appreciate watching, like Indie News Network, like Annie Highfog
Rondo.
and stuff. They have that like scripted part where they ask for the donations, so they don't have to say it off the top of their head every time. But when you do it repetitive like that, you're using psychology science to try and convince people to invest, like donate, because the repetitive messaging is just the way that human psychology works, and the advertisers are very well aware that it works, right? And so we're all being encouraged to use, when we tell people to like, share, and subscribe, we're being encouraged to use psychological techniques on each other and to normalize it as acceptable. So I don't like doing that, but then it's a hard world to get through with no money, right? So we make compromises like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, she has bad skin and is a fascist. I agree.
Yeah, that's like
Oh my
Hinkle,
gosh.
Jack Hinkle and the ACP guys. They say some good things, but then they say some really dumb things, and then they act like they're just joking around, whatever. But if you're gonna be allying with Tulsi Gabbard, who's funded by fascists, and then
Oh
you're
my
gonna
God.
the connection that people say that you guys come across as fascists. It's like, well, if you guys want to be in bed with Tulsi, you kind of are proving a bit of a fascist connection if you don't denounce it and get away from her. So that's needs to be
Okay.
said.
So Black Life is bringing up someone. I'm not sure if you know who he is. His name is Sean King. Um, he's basically a white dude who goes to the barber shop to make himself look black.
Well,
And
that yeah. Lucy did a.
and
I don't know if you saw the video. Sorry to interrupt.
oh,
Lucy had a.
Lucy, you know who that is?
He actually did a spot about George Galloway platforming Sean King after everyone knows all about him. And so this is one of those things. I like George too, but then he's going to do stuff like that. If he keeps doing stuff like that, I'm going to lose respect for him because that's not respectable. Like, do your homework.
I like George too. Like, I mean, I get that Sean King is black according to the one drop rule, whatever. But for all intents and purposes, everywhere
No,
in
it's
the
not the
world,
one drop rule on his birth certificate. His mama and daddy white.
both of them. I thought he was like a quarter or some. I don't know.
Child,
But
he
He's
just went to a black
he
barber
looks white.
shop. He went to a
Right?
black barber
He looks
shop.
white, so I don't know like why Sean King hates himself so much, but um he did the so it's not just that, you know. So
It's not that he hates himself so much. It's just that there are enough white people who understand that they can culture vulture off of black culture or black misery and make money. That's all it is. That's all he's doing. He's a grifter. That's what
yeah,
he's doing.
so
And then with his grift, like when people start figuring out, oh, Sean King ain't what he says he is, then he turned Muslim. Child, did you see that?
It's called a face
oh
turn.
yes, he was crying at the foot of a column and like
Yeah,
and
and the next day was trying to get uh donations for something. I said, "Oh my God,
and
why?"
I saw that I don't remember what her name is, Blakely or something. She did a whole all of his scams. A lot of his scams are not even like he was like scamming even before Black Lives Matter on other stuff. Like he raised money to go hiking and he raised money for some other thing. So it was a lot of stuff that I didn't even know. And then he became a Black Lives Matter scammer. And then now he's doing the Muslim thing. I wonder what's next, you know? Probably. So it looks like, you know, but the thing is, these people are crazy skilled at fundraising. Like you guys, for example, you know, people feel bad about like charging money for their little channels, but you're doing good work. You know, you're being pretty honest. If you raise money, I feel like it's legit. You might not get a lot, but whatever.
We don't
You know,
even do
whatever.
that. We don't
You
even
don't even
raise
do it.
like.
The
And,
fact that we get in our own way because we feel bad about taking money from people, and then people like Sean King, they don't have that bone in their body. So
yeah, they don't have it. They just and they're good at raising money, you know, and people just fall for it. And he was on like the Muslim skeptic and this and that and the other thing. And I don't have anything against converts, really, but how many times is this gonna come? Is he gonna convert? So first he became black, and now he's Muslim, and you know, for a while he was like an immigrant. So it's just yeah.
it's gonna be rough on
Black
his own
look, Black
community.
Life. You see what you started. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It's crazy. It's you know, and
It,
nobody
you know
hates
what's
you for
great,
being a white guy.
Lucy? You know what's crazier? The whole time we've been up here, I'm trying to change the layout. Oh, This dude is still talking.
I've never seen him talk so long.
He's
But
still
I-
up here talking. Why is the layout not changing?
Yeah, my understanding of the backstory was that he's like a quarter black because his mom was married to a light-skinned black man or something. I don't know if that's true.
Sorry, yeah. I
But
hate that layout because you
Yeah,
can't put up
whatever.
a cover in the face.
Dude is still talking. Who knows what he's saying?
he was saying like, oh, Javier Milei is a huge. He's like the MAGA of Argentina, which is true because they're all Israel firsters. So I would say that that's accurate. He's like the Make Israel Great Again candidate of
But
Argentina.
he wants to be praising Milei or whatever. It's pretty hilarious and ironic because one thing I heard about Milei recently, he was getting all pissed off. Fuck you, commies, or whatever. Get the fuck out of my country, or whatever. And then he wants to like take control of his currency and like print his own currency or whatever. But whatever plan he tried to like, libertarians' plans don't work. In case you needed an example, go look at Milei. So now he's telling you Chinese communists, get out of my country, whatever. And now he needs a Chinese company to print his currency for him because he's not going to be able to. His country can't do it himself, I guess, in his libertarian whatever style.
Well,
So
they don't even give a shit because, like, the Libertarian Party, they're a bunch of clowns. You know, they don't have any of Argentinians, like, that are not associated with Javier Milei actually go on their fucking platforms to, like, talk about it. Inflation has quadrupled over, like, the past year, so that didn't help. And all of this shit that, you know, they're always like, oh, we're going to end the Federal Reserve. Well, like, if you understand anything about dollarization, you're not ending the Federal Reserve. Like, if you close the Central Bank of Argentina, who in the fuck cares about the Central Bank of Argentina other than Argentina? Like, that's not ending the Federal Reserve. You're becoming more dependent on the Federal Reserve because you don't have your own national bank for your own country. So that's less libertarian, not more libertarian. They're full of shit with supporting this Javier Milei character, and that's even without the Zionist thing. It makes zero sense what they're pushing, right?
And
But
they don't know how tariffs work.
they don't know shit, and they're shoving all of this down our throat. And I you know, actually, like, the thing that really gets me about the whole libertarian thing is, and this is kind of what gets me about LaRouche, like, LaRouche is not libertarian. Like, they have, like, a pretty good, like, economic case and stuff like that, you know, like, they want to do a national bank, you know, fund infrastructure, fix the roads. Okay, great, right? But then they think that the support of these stupid libertarians is more important than, like, my support or your support or, like, people that are not libertarians. So they're always, like, catering to their cultural bullshit. I don't give a shit anymore. Like, if you're not, like, gonna cater to my opinions, then I'm not gonna support your little group. So, you know.
and that's what's going on with the ACP right now, I'd say. Just, you can go ahead. Like, that's enough just said, just like that, right? So carry on.
Yeah, so, like, they always do this. They think, like, you know, because the libertarians act like they're great patriots, that they're, like, the majority of America. And I don't even think the majority, I think, like, Americans hate libertarian shit. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know a lot of Americans in real life that are, like, you know, yes, like, we want the government to put no money into fixing the roads. I don't know that many people that are like, oh yes, you know, I love potholes. I love not having a federal postal service.
That's so hilarious because I was just, Michael, wasn't I just lamenting to you about how we've had 2 days worth of shit because we hit a pothole and had and and it bust a tire and bent the rim and
Yeah, she's been having a crazy week, right?
You're spending so much money on, like, repairs. You know, the car is already expensive, gas is high, and then you're fixing your wheels like 500 times a week, every time, because of all the potholes. You know, and then the bridges are, like, falling apart. You know, and the libertarians are like, yes, we can do everything yourself. No, we can't. I can't, like, build a bridge with community watch. What I mean, what
meanwhile
are you talking about?
they couldn't even build a porch Like, build a porch for me.
If you think
You
that
can't do it.
government funded like public utilities and stuff is badly run, just wait until they privatize that stuff. There's plenty of examples all over the world of people who try to privatize stuff. I think England's a good example. They tried to privatize like their power, their energy companies and stuff, and they're just the energy company, like the service delivery starts to fall apart, becomes terrible. So that's what happens.
Let's take a moment. Jacqueline.
Yeah. Have a good night, Jacqueline. Thanks for being here as always. Sorry, by the way, everyone in the chat. Hello, good to see you.
We love Jacqueline, but it's very late for her because she's over the water. So good night and take care.
See you next time.
Sleep well. We love Jacqueline. She's been here from the beginning, so we always respect I wouldn't want to call her elder, but our elder in podcast world.
Young people need old people
but she's not old people. I'm just in podcast world.
We need to keep, like you're saying, in contact with the different generations. We don't want to get so divided over certain things like you're old, I don't need to talk to you, or you're young, you don't have any wisdom, whatever. That's stereotyping. That's not going to get us anywhere. So we don't need like this gerontocracy that we have with Biden in charge, right?
Oh, I love talking to older people. They are funny as hell. They trip me out. My mama friends are hilarious. And they don't mind saying whatever the fuck they want to say. And I'm here for it all. I'm like, what you said, Miss Shirley? Miss Shirley.
So is there anything else you wanted to talk about, maybe, Lucy, or are you wanting to get out of here? I don't know how much longer you'd like to stick around, but you're always welcome.
No, if you guys want to talk about something, I feel like, I mean, I've only been doing like segments lately when I feel like it. I don't really have any. Oh, I do have one thing to talk about. Yes, I have a friend. She wants to spread this petition to tank. It's like an idea for a boycott, and she's been like kind of working hard on it, and it's about doing a pledge to join a federal credit union. Because if you pull your money, like a lot of these big banks, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all of these give money to Israel, and those were the same banks that were too big to fail, right? The too big to fail banks that got bailed out. So we keep bailing them out, and they keep sending our money to Israel, right? So the idea is to join a federal credit union because, like, if you do this BDS, like where you're boycotting, I don't know, Doritos or Coca-Cola or something, this is like only one small thing, like $5 that you're pulling away from them. But if you join a federal credit union, you know, you're pulling like at least if you have $1,000 in the bank, you're pulling $1,000 away from them, which is more. So she did this like pledge. I'll show it to you guys.
You can put it. Yes.
I have it on my Twitter here, and then like the explanation, and then the pledge is here. Like, let me. Oh, here I joined the chat.
Can she share? I'm not sure.
I think as a guest,
you just put it in the private chat.
I don't think guests can share.
I'll put it in the.
So why are you doing that? And we're sharing. I'm going to share this.
This is like the thing, and then the idea is to sign the actual pledge that you're gonna like. You don't have to remove all of it if you don't, you know, if it's not convenient for you. But like even if you remove a little money and put it in a federal credit union, is better than nothing.
We should be talking about those things a bit bit more. They're not the sexy topics, but they're kind of the more viable ways to get out of the problems that we're having. We have to start with the little things like financial sovereignty, food sovereignty, right?
Yeah, and like you know, like the interesting thing about this idea is that it's really the same people that are in charge of everything. So it's like the same banks. They were in charge of Zionism. They were in charge of the real estate crash. They were in charge of slavery. You know, they funded a lot of it. So it's kind of all connected. It's just, um, uh, so it's the
It's not
federal
letting
credit
me.
unions.
It's not letting me share the link.
Link in the chat.
Yeah.
Maybe I can see if I can.
Yeah, I
Every
put
time
the,
I do it, yeah, maybe you can in the chat. But this is it. It's just not
Yeah,
letting me
I
share the link for some reason.
think it worked there.
There you go. Thank you.
I'd say Golden Monarch would say boycott Zionist Bitcoin too, if you can.
is Bitcoin. Yeah, it's kind of weird
He
because
sure
like I know
would.
that Bitcoin.
I think we need to maybe prove
Go
that
ahead.
connection a bit more, but I think there's a lot of Zionist influence over, and like that, I'm pretty sure that the Zionists were the ones behind the inception of Bitcoin and stuff, along with the American government, right?
Yeah. Okay. Here's the petition. Oh, it didn't work. Well, I sent it to you on private chat. Maybe.
I don't see it.
I'll.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh wait. I think I got it. I got it. I got it. Don't worry. I have it.
Change.org.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, like some of these things that I noticed that's kind of crazy is that like some of these online banks that are green, like these, they're like one of them is Aspiration. It's like an online bank, and they like advertise themselves as green, like green this, green that. And then I looked up like the CEO, and he's a big Zionist, and the whole green thing is because they want to plant trees in Israel. You know, just like after they destroy all the Palestinians, they want to make Gaza green. So it's pretty
That's
messed up.
eco-fascism. That's in a word, that's eco-fascism right there. So
Mm.
Yeah, so be careful if you join an online bank. Like, just do a federal credit union, not a.
So banks such as Bank of America, Citibank, Barclays, Wells Fargo, Chase, and Capital One are profiting off the genocide in Gaza by providing loans and financing to Elbit Systems, Israel's largest drone supplier, as well as other weapons manufacturers. Just so you know.
So if your red line really is genocide, then put your money where your mouth is, or put your signature where walk the walk. That's what I'm saying.
And
Yeah, and
Michael, can you take that link and put it in the chat? I
Yeah.
don't think I can.
and the
And can I share one too?
yes.
So
Well, it's a
I want to just go back up, just in case. For people see, we love memes and pictures.
picture
And the credit
tells 1,000
unions.
words. All right, go ahead.
Oh,
Hi, Black Life. Okay. So,
Just from like a
go,
pragmatic
go
perspective,
ahead.
the credit unions might be like, you might save more money with them. So even if the genocide stuff doesn't even bother you, like the fact that they're taking your money and robbing you with it should be incentive enough to abandon these banks, right? You would think.
You know, I had left these banks and went to Bank Black, and it wasn't that the bank was owned by any black people. It's just that they hired all kind of black people. It was in Harlem. Oh my God, it was horrible. I was trying to do something good, but because they are so outnumbered by all these other things,
Bad practices.
that it was just,
Not always their fault.
I didn't have time for it, unfortunately.
It wasn't always their fault, though.
Well, hey, Bad,
Um,
what's up?
but this is the other one I wanted to remind people of. Um, this is, maybe I could put this in the private chat, and Michael, you can share it. I don't know why it's not working. I try to put it in comments, but this is invoking Article 6 and expel the U.S. from the United Nations. So they don't have. Well, I can read it right here. Here's the issue: Gaza is being obliterated and currently undergoes an active genocide for which is being committed by Israel and the United States. The U.S. has facilitated, enabled, fully endorsed, and funded this genocide by military planning, arms supplies, and its abuse of veto power. Israel acts with full impunity, fully supported and backed up by the United States of America, all while the international community turns a blind eye. So this article is basically, I'm just gonna wrap it up in a bow.
Read this.
Oh, um, okay, right here. That's what you want me to read?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Black Life is like, no, read that. Okay. The United States is the greatest threat to global peace and security. The United States has broken every single UN law within the UN Charter since its inception. I don't know who wrote this, but they need to stop. Our demands are clear. We call on the United Nations Security Council to act upon and fulfill the very promises it made since its creation in 1945, which is to provide global peace and security, to implement Article 6 by invoking it and expelling the United States from the United Nations.
That would be the path of least resistance, I would say. You know, if people wanted to try and peacefully have some kind of a revolution, that would be revolutionary if you could kick the U.S. out of the United Nations. I just don't really. I don't. Maybe I'm too cynical. I don't see it being that easy. You know,
Close
like
to 100,000.
yeah.
But anyway, those are ours. Our and then if you want to do one for your trailer park pundit.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Wasn't sure if we were giving too many
I
petitions
know.
to sign and stuff. But if anyone else has any spare money, any money to spare, Shonda Masta from the Trailer Park Pundit has been going through some chemotherapy for some small cell lung cancer. So if you can, even if you can't donate, if you could share her, like tweet and retweet her her donation page on Twitter, that would be appreciated. I should be calling it up right now, I guess, to share with you. Just bear with me.
Michael's very sweet
Yeah,
because we stopped asking for a donation for you for rent when you lost your job for for her. Michael's a very sweet person.
well, I should have, when I lost my job, I should have tried to make a donation page to add, like everybody, not everybody, like a lot of people who it's not their fault circumstances. You're allowed to try and reach out to people, and just ask for help. And if they don't want to help, they don't have to, right? But then I get
Right?
nervous and
Can you,
shy,
can
and I
you
don't
put
even
it? Can
bother.
you put it? Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
cut
I'm
you off.
trying to share
Put
my
it right in chat.
there. Can you see it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There
there we
you
go.
go. Okay. Yeah, I'm like you, Michael. I don't like to ask people for help. It feels funny
It's a
to
little
me.
pride problem,
It's a pride problem.
because if you need help, you shouldn't be so proud that you can't ask. Like, maybe that's can be a bit of a guy thing too. But like, especially with the healthcare
Not a
stuff here,
guy
like if
thing. It's not a guy
you need
thing.
help, you get
Because
it, right?
I know enough Negroes that don't mind the entitlement of help. Cowboy
But hopefully
Kitty.
it's not a
I
simple.
just want to say, Cowboy Kitty. Meow.
Well, hey, Cowboy Kitty.
T. T.
It's a good name. I always remember Cowboy Kitty.
I know, isn't it cute? I thought Cowboy Kitty ghosted me, so I'm so happy to see.
Makes me wonder.
Here.
It's like an androgynous name, though. Is it a boy or a girl? Yeah. Is it a cowboy
I
or a
think
kitty?
it's a woman.
No, is it a woman? I
Yes.
thought it was very much a man.
That's what I'm saying. One of those chick names.
Ooh, look, now I'm very curious. Let me shut up. Bad Cookies is here. Oh, you know he about to go off.
So he said, the shit that is the absolute worst is that Shonda needs to depend on donations instead of being covered for healthcare. This is why that CEO got plugged. That's the comment of the night.
Pew pew. Pew pew.
So,
And should we talk like the next thing we should be talking about is how can we send donations to this person so they can finish their work? How could we send this person some money?
well,
I
what I
thought
don't like is how we have
I thought he was a man.
Good to know.
All right, honey. Okay, sorry.
I'm just gonna go get a cigarette if we're just gonna hang out a bit more. So just 1 sec.
Oh, let me go look at what the hell this dude is still talking. Y'all want to hear what he's saying? Lord, this is gonna be crazy. Let's hear what this man is still talking about. Or do you want to hear, Lucy? Do you even care to hear?
What?
What Trump is still up there talking, girl.
I don't
He
even.
is still up there yapping his mouth.
Prison from countries all over the world, dumping prisons into our country. The prisoners dumped into our country by the millions. They don't want that. They don't want all of the kind of things that they don't want drug dealers. They don't want gang members. They don't want people that are causing trouble. They don't want people that the country doesn't want. And they had I would say a truth. Elon would say an X. But it came out and it had 12 different things, and it went down a list of things. And part of it was that the cartels We're bringing in drugs. They don't want them. It's stopping you. Wait till you see the numbers that are going to be released. In 2 days, things happen to our country. This is 2 days as of 3 days ago, but things are happening to our country that we didn't see happening for years. Caravans on the way up, 35,000 people.
Oh my
They're
God.
breaking up. They're breaking up. They're not making the journey. And we had 3 or 4 of the highest, I guess almost every single day we set new records in the stock market. We set new records economically. We're doing good. Now, the only thing is, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important. Maybe you should pass a bill. You have to start my term from November 5th, okay? Or November 6th if you want. November 5th, because the market's gone through the roof. Enthusiasm's doubled. It's doubled in the last short while. And I watched a liberal commentator say, you know, whether you like him or not, there seems to be a beautiful light shining over our country and even over the world. I said, this guy didn't say that.
You know what? I just want to say this. I just want to say this. I feel so sorry for the good whites. I feel so sorry for them because there's so many of these people roaming around on the earth. Oh my God. And nobody has time to decide who is who and what is what. So I feel so sorry for the ones who aren't like this. Why are they like this?
I gotta not ask too many times
I feel
why.
like it has to be hard for
I'll go
the
crazy a
good
bit.
ones. Like
Say
it's,
the same for us.
huh? Oh, you could say. Oh, Black Life is saying you could say the same for
We're
us
not all
because
thugs, but we'll
because
be looked at as black.
they'll
and
look
black
at
is-
us like the. Oh, that's true,
You
huh?
know what I'm saying? They'll put you all in one category.
They'll put us all in one category, like we just thugs, and
So we should think as humans.
so we should think as humans. Thank
Yeah,
you,
they
Black
just like
Life.
to they just like to be like, oh, you know, the whites are racist and black are thugs, and then they put and Hispanics are cartel members. Like everything is becomes a
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
then they use
Everything
these
is a
stereotypes.
stereotype.
It's like everything you saw in that movie is true.
Right.
Right?
You're not.
But
And
you,
it really
but
works,
you
you know,
do.
and
You
that's how they split up the parties.
go ahead. Go ahead. Keep on, Lucy.
That's how they split up the parties a lot, you know, because like the Democrats kind of went off the rails with like making a lot of assumptions about white people, right? You know, like being like, oh, you know, the deplorables, this, that, right? And, you know, like white people are sensitive to that because, you know, so now there's so many white people that won't vote for Democrats. Well, I mean, how is it that, like, for example, I don't know, some country like Eastern Europe, like Croatia or something, they didn't have a problem electing some socialist leader over there, a country full of white people, right? So, like, over here they generalize the white people, they shove them into the Republican Party because like whenever the Democrats come up, all they do is like virtue signal about their all of their DEI hires, right? But then the Republicans do the same thing with their, you know, fascist coalition of like racists and you know, Hindutva psychopaths and Israeli like cocksuckers on the Republican side. So, you know, and then they just feed off of each other, you know, they're like, then they just point fingers.
This is a great point you made, because when you're in a country that is homogeneous, you don't have to, like, I don't know what in those more homogeneous countries, you don't have those same issues because what's happening, they don't have to build a caste system, right? So, well, we don't have to either. We choose to because it's easier because it's a capitalist system. But in those homogeneous countries, it's not capitalist. There's more socialism there. So
They have
with
stronger social ties.
capitalism begets racism. Like you have to have it in order for capitalism to work. Like you have to have someone underneath you, s- whether it be by race or by social status. Like something has to give because there's no way a capitalist system can work without having a hierarchy or caste system. Does that make
Right. I
sense what I'm
mean,
saying?
also there's like so many white people in this country, right? So, uh, if you wanna appeal to this country, this isn't Jamaica, right? So like you have to bring them in somehow. You can't be spending all just out of practicality. Like if it was a country that had very few white people, it doesn't matter if you're like calling the whites deplorables because they make up a very small South Africa, like the EFF. They ran a whole campaign and it wasn't anti-white or anything, but they were like trying to act like the EFF was anti-white. Um, and they're not, but they kind of, but it doesn't matter because like white people in South Africa is like, I don't know what it is, like 15% or something. So they still have a chance to win without one white vote. It doesn't even matter, right? But here in the United States, there's so many. You're just gonna like ignore. I don't know. That's so it's just not practical. Regardless of
You
how we
know,
got that this way, which I don't really agree with, but that at this point, you gotta figure out a way. You can't be like they just can't get over this. They can't get over this hump. Of like bringing the white the white
you know,
people into some.
I'm about to derail the conversation, Lucy. I hope
Sorry.
you'll no, don't say sorry. I just want you to go here with me because I was thinking about this yesterday. We ain't even talking about this. It's just something I thought about. Um, or like maybe a revelation I had. And I was just thinking about how like South African apartheid, like how that was put forth. And then I was thinking about the oh I know how I thought about this. I was watching a documentary about um, the prison system in America, how they use probation um, as a tool to control like uh, black people in this country. Like if you make one wrong move, you going back to prison or like what it felt like what it sounded like to me was like it sounded like the open air prison in Gaza. That's what the parole system in America feels like to black people. And I was thinking about South Africa and apartheid. I was like, shit, all this shit is the same. I don't know. I just thought about it. I don't know. It just came up in my brain. I don't know. Rondo, you got something to say? I just thought about that
Well, I,
yesterday.
I can kind of feel some relation to that because I've been in jail for like up to I think 3 weeks. I was only up to 3 weeks, but I feel like it wasn't really good for me psychologically, obviously. And ever since I got out of the jail, that was like 4 or 5 years ago, probably. And I still feel like my apartment has now become the jail, right? Like, because once you know how much of a prison system the economic system is, like unless you can just ignore that and still go to work and stuff, you're just like disabled and unemployed people are pretty trapped. Um, and like just with
Yeah,
jail, you kind of feel the similarity, right?
yeah. But I'm talking about probation.
Yeah,
The confines of probation where like um you can't go within so many yards without calling your probation officer and asking, is it okay if you like go over here, or you can't travel, you can't. It just feels like an open air prison, like Gaza. That's what it sounded like to me when I actually, because I've never been on probation, but when I like learned about what it actually is, Sean
It's
says, yeah,
like
it's horrible.
being allowed out, but you're not allowed to be like a full citizen. You have extra impositions on you that the regular citizen doesn't have to live by until you're through the period of grace or whatever that they need you to prove that you're
Yeah,
a human.
it was real bad. Um, what I heard a lot of people have to go through, and it felt like a open air prison. Um, I don't know what I got real emotional. I'm sorry. I digress. Don't mind me, y'all. Look, this dude is still going. He will not shut up.
I thought
So
there's
it's
supposed
like
to be other
Hamas
How
is
people.
long have we been talking? Y'all want to hear what he's saying now?
I was just saying, I thought there's supposed to be other Patriot awards. Is it just one award for him? I thought there were other Patriots that they were gonna
It
trot out
starts at
there.
what time is it?
yeah. I
Oh, it
have to go
starts at
eat.
30 minutes. I don't
Yeah,
even have time to sit through this. Mm-mm.
if you got to
I
get going, no need to
He's
keep
gonna
you
be
hungry.
like, and we are gonna deport all the Hamas supporters, and we're gonna deport all of them and all the jihadis. You know, that's that's like their thing now.
Well, as far as Canada's concerned, if they tried to deport everyone, they would really cut their legs out from under them. Because looking at our economic like information that came out recently, and like we're only our economy like for 8 straight quarters has not been making money basically, and then without the newcomers, the millions of immigrants that we've had from Ukraine and India and other places, obviously, we would not have made like that 1.1% growth in the economy. That's not real growth. Even that, we would be in negative territory without the immigrants already. So you're going to kick them out now. Not going to be good for the economy. So
Of course, they're not going to kick them out. They just say that. All of these people, these corporations, these oligarchies want the immigrants here. They want them. They just can't say it out loud. They have to act like the fearmonger and act like, oh my God, they're gonna rape your children and steal your wife, and all they're doing is coming here to do the jobs Americans don't want to do.
well,
That's really
particularly
all it is. It's just slave labor.
particularly with the Ukrainian situation, there's a lot of these immigrants are white immigrants, but the narrative is casting it as if they're all like Muslim immigrants or South American or um, like Middle Eastern or something like. Or they're always that stereotypical image of a refugee people have in their mind, and it's upsetting to see how like the Ukrainians are being given, like the Israelis, they get all the free healthcare that the Americans should have. The Ukrainians have been given this free pass to come in and like take all kinds of extra taxpayer money and stuff that we couldn't afford to give them and stuff for fund a war that we shouldn't have fought in the first place.
Well,
But
you
the
understand. You
person that gets
understand
blamed
why,
for it is
right?
a black and a brown person, right? So
You understand why Ukraine, they because America doesn't want America to become more brown than it
yeah,
needs to be.
you're a great
They
replacement
they
theory.
need to have a white people here. I mean, that's just facts. Because they don't want the browning of America. They just don't want it.
I think it's
And that's the
actually
thing.
Canada. I think it's actually Canada that took the 1 million Ukrainians. We took the 1 million Venezuelans, which is kind of shitty for other reasons, but they are more brown in general. Not always, but I'm just putting that
That's a
out there
good
because
point. Yeah. You guys probably took more like 30,000 Ukrainians or something, but not nearly as much. I don't even know. I should look into that. But
There's a bunch of them in my neighborhood, so I do know that we did take some, but I think like Canada, like literally they gave them overnight. It was like 1 million Ukrainians in Canada now.
yeah, it's pretty insane. Like as far as complaining, mass immigration is not a good thing. I can understand that. It's difficult. It feels like a slippery slope that I would step on to even argue that there's any kind of problem with immigration. But when you do a mass immigration like that, that's how you do like colonization. That's how you do massive demographic changes against the people's will. You just say, "Oh, look, they're here now. Deal with it." Like it has to be within like a certain rational. We have this many resources. Bring in this many people this year. And if we do it too fast, we're going to create inflation and stuff like that. So like you have to have rational economic reasons to have the numbers that you have. So
I just want to say, Sean, I'm glad you got out, my boy.
It's a big ass dog.
I'm glad you got out, my boy.
It's a big ass dog.
Uh,
And I think Michael got a little black in him with that fan right there.
That's
Wow.
hilarious. Can you hear Black
we all
Life?
need Black
I
Barna.
know her voice is. She said that's a big ass dog, and
Yeah.
she think you're a little black with that fan you got there. every black person got a fan in their house, oscillating.
Ask him if he need that fan to sleep.
she wanted to know if you need that fan to sleep.
No. My heat got turned on. I had to go complain to the landlord, right, and be rude about it to get some traction. But thankfully they turned the heat on before the cold snap happened. Because
What season it is?
And Lucy, you don't know his rude. His rude is rude, honey. He ain't playing.
there's a reason why I don't have as many friends as I should, maybe at my age, right? I gotta work on not being too passive aggressive at times, but it's all about if you're too much of the nice guy, you finish last. And so growing up, I was probably too much of the nice guy. Still am sometimes, but trying to compensate for that, I kind of swung too far the other way now lately. Too much of an asshole to people, I guess.
But he's very nice, Lucy. Lucy, he's so nice, and
I can be really nice. I can also be an asshole, but it's also I just have a low tolerance. I think I'm just like I'm one of those people where it's like okay, not really so extroverted. I can do like 1 hour socializing, 2 hours, and then afterwards I start losing my shit, kind of. I also have Twitter fingers, so I'm more of an asshole in writing. So I used to like get into a lot of Twitter wars, not as much anymore. So I'm a big asshole in writing, but in person, not really as much. Even though I'm sure you're familiar with Twitter fingers.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Time there.
Lucy, Black Life wants to know where you from.
New York.
Oh, that's right, Queens.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I already know. She'll cuss you out in a minute, in a heartbeat.
That damn Betty White.
I already know.
What?
Look, Lucy, I spent my whole life, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Baby, I got to New York and I said, get the fuck out of my face. Shut the fuck up. Who the fuck is you talking to?
Holy shit.
Because that's how you survive.
Because it's so many people, and you just kind of started getting, because it actually goes away if you move somewhere else, a small town, whatever. You start looking forward to seeing people more, so you kind of lose the edge. But then once you're back, it's just like,
Black
I
Light,
don't
did
want
I
to deal
lose
with
the
it.
edge when I got here? I lost the edge. She said I lost the edge. Okay.
No, I
always
mean
There's
sometimes
something.
it's a good thing, right? Because you relax.
once a week.
Depending on where you live. Like, if you go to Tokyo, you'll be more stressed. But I'm talking about like other places in the United States.
There's something to be said about the bigger the city, like the harder it is actually to know people. Like there's so many people that it's even harder to get to know people and interact. It's just a
Although
weird
I
thing.
wouldn't say New York has the biggest assholes. I actually think that credit belongs to LA. Like when I went to LA, I couldn't believe.
Oh, Lucy. Okay. Let me speak on that because most of my family moved to LA. I was the only one that moved to New York. And I go to LA to visit them and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is gross. Like you people are fucking disgusting.
Okay,
You
I went
like
to LA. Okay, this is like was my impression of LA. I'm sure you have more experience than me with LA, but I went to LA, and people don't like to ask you to ask a question because they're not used to taking public transportation, and it's only the poor's that take. At least in New York, it's like everybody takes public transportation, but in LA, you ask somebody a question, they act like you're robbing them or something. And I
oh
asked
my
this.
God. They're so pretentious. They're so pretentious. And it's like, wait, I can't come out of my house without being completely done up every goddamn time. I could I can go to New York and come out the house like completely dressed up, or I could look like I look now, like looking like in a uh, okay, all right, sorry, Black Light
Yeah,
was walking out the room. Um, or
yeah,
I could come out.
and
I could
and
come out with pajamas on. Nobody gives a fuck. Everybody
yeah, and
just everybody do you. So I
and
love New York. So I was like, well, I'm moving to New York, baby, because LA is not for me. I don't
it's
like
not
this.
for me. It's not for me. I couldn't believe it. I'd be going around asking for directions, and one guy was like, "Honey, I drive a car," and then somebody, somebody else was like, I asked this like teenage girl, they act like they're out of it because they don't want to answer the fucking question. It really pisses me off. So, um, uh, I was like, the people are rude as fuck in this city. Like, I asked this girl a question. I was like, because I didn't know where I was. I was in some kind of suburb, East LA somewhere. I don't know where the fuck I was. So I was like, where's a central location of LA that is like a central hub that I can take other trains from? Like the Grand Central or Times Square. I asked this teenage girl that was taking I guess she was a teenager, but the bus. She's like, I don't know. I was like, okay. The, I was like, so where do you get off? You don't get off at a central hub? And she's like, I don't know. And I was just like, if you don't know where you're going, why are you taking the bus? And she's just like, relax. You need to relax. I'm like, I'm gonna relax. Answer the question. So I feel like they're kind of, they use avoidance. They're kind of a more avoidant asshole, but they're still assholes, and it's kind
Hey,
of.
this is a great example of how we are like it's just too many of us in New York City to like if you catch us at the right time, we'll talk to you and have a good conversation. If you see a mom with a stroller and she gets off the train, right, and she has to go up the stairs The person won't even talk to you. They'll just pick up the stroller. Y'all walk up, and then when you get to the top, you drop the stroller, and you keep going. Enough said. I didn't need to say nothing to you. I'm doing what needs to be done. I'm helping a fellow citizen out. You know, that type of stuff. They act like people in New York are so mean. No, we're not. We are not mean. We are loving people. We just
That's
ain't
it.
got time. We got to move. We got to keep it going. We got shit to do, places to be, and we
Yeah.
need to be on time.
I'd say like people here are more just like indifferent. They don't really like most people don't so much wave to you when you walk by kind of thing. It's not as crowded. Windsor's actually a pretty small place, like 250,000 at most. So that's like a small. It's a city, but it's a small city. But
But New
some
York
people are
City,
nice.
New York City, we're talking about 11. Well, like 9 million people live there, but 11 million people are in the city per day
Hmm.
because
You
they
guys get
come from
people coming and
Connecticut, they
going.
come from New Jersey, to work and stuff. So it's a lot of people,
Yeah,
and they're all over the place. So people don't have time. I,
it's like an
my
anthill.
mom, my mom came and we went to. I went to get her some breakfast to get a bagel, and we're in the line, and we're sitting in line, and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I see what I want. But my mom doesn't understand. So when we get up there and she's like, you still trying to figure it out? I said, Mama, you got to get out the line before we get cussed out. We about to get cussed out. Just let other people go until you figure out what the fuck you want. Because this is not going to work.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah, it's
peruse
crazy.
the damn. You cannot peruse the damn menu. We got to go. That's not how it works here, Mama.
Maybe I gotta
Anywho,
visit the city one day, whatever. I'm not sure if it's like it used to be. It used to be everybody wanted to go see New York City at least once in their life, but I wonder if that's changing now. Because maybe if I'm an example, I'm kind of decided that I don't really need to see New York City. There's plenty of other places I could go, but maybe I could be persuaded to visit one day.
no, you should see it.
Yeah,
Your dude is still up here. What
nice.
is? I don't
I think
even know
it's
what he's.
actually like a very enjoyable place to visit, but just not a good place to live.
Mm.
Oh, I love
That's
living
kind of.
there.
Oh, you love
I
living there?
love it. Oh yeah, I loved it. I absolutely adored it.
Well, it
I think it
depends
Oh,
on
I
your
depends on
personality.
your your economic status. I'm sure if you're really poor, it's not a good place to live. If you're wealthy enough, it'd be great, right? So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Although, even though it is very expensive place to live, you would save money on, for example, transportation, right? Because you don't have to buy a car. So all in all, I mean, you might still be spending a lot of money in a rural area,
it's
depending.
like Toronto. Like I feel Toronto's too pricey for me. If I wanted to move there, I can't right now. So,
Yeah.
but
When
it's
I
about the
moved
real.
to New York City, I had two vehicles. Um, I found that it costs more to own those vehicles than to get rid of them because I kept having to like move them every day for sweeping. I would spend more money on getting tickets for street sweeping. I don't know if anybody, maybe people don't understand, but like on Mondays and Wednesdays, they would sweep on one side of the street. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they sweep on another side of the street. And if you don't move your car, you'll get a ticket. So I my vehicles were more costly for tickets because I didn't move them as I should have. When I got rid of those vehicles, oh God, it was like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulder.
My apartment's just outside a parking lot, so I see those parking ticket guys every day. So it's like I feel tempted to yell out the window, like, "Get a real job!" It is, I guess, technically. They work for the city. It's like, fuck you.
I don't know why this just popped into my head. This comment like, hate New York, hate LA, hate the large cities. I'm big on common decency. Hold the door. Like in New York, since we have a lot of Jewish people. Back when I did live in Manhattan for a while, and it was, I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know, maybe like the building was like 20% Jewish or something like that. And my mom, so the super religious ones, right? They don't press the button on Sabbath, on Shabbat. They don't press the button on the elevator
Yeah,
door.
that's ridiculous. We can't do any work on Saturday, so we can't even lift a finger. Like,
And my mom she's just like super non PC, and she's like, well, they don't want to press the button. I'm not pressing the button because usually they like ask you to press the button. She's like, well, you know, you're gonna have to press the because she just like, I kind of understand it because it's like, well, if it's your religious thing, you figure it out. You know, like you shouldn't. But
Right? It's not my problem.
I might be like that maybe if I were confronted with that situation.
I used
And
to not press the button. Now I just press the button if somebody asks me because I'm like, okay. I met a bunch of like Haredi Jews at the. They actually went to those Robert Kennedy protests with us. They were really nice, and they do ask you to press the button for them. So now I'm like, okay, press the button. But before I was like, no, you don't want
now
to press the button. I'm not pressing the button.
I wouldn't do that shit. No, because, and this is why, Lucy, because they full of shit. Okay, they full of shit, and let me tell you why. Because they will, those Hasidic Jews will buy, um, they'll buy complexes. Okay, and then they will marry in Hasidic Jewish, like in their Hasidic Jewish God law, which is not law under, American law or whatever. So they're still married by God, but they aren't married by law. And then they'll go and get on welfare, get Section 8, and those Hasidic Jewish men who own those buildings will have Section 8 all through those buildings, but they will only approve Hasidic Jewish women. It's a fucking scam.
It is a
Tell me
scam,
I'm lying. Tell
No,
me
it is
I'm
a
lying,
scam.
Lucy.
And then they'll act like it's only black and Hispanics in Section 8,
Yes. And
which is
and
not
then
true.
yes, and then they'll call us welfare queens.
Right.
Well,
And
with
so
religion, like if you take away the special like tax exemptions and stuff, and the religion can't like be financially viable, that should be a red flag, right?
okay, so I these are like
I don't know
weird
how we
stories.
got here, but we're
Like
here, Lucy.
I used to live in a building too, and they were gentrifying, and a lot of the black and Hispanic tenants couldn't afford to stay, and like were getting moved up to the Bronx and stuff. Um, and a lot of white people actually got gentrified out too, not just black and Hispanic. But the funny thing was that there was like the Russian mafia, right? And the one of them, it was like literally a father and a son, and they were selling weapons, missiles to the United States and like sneaking them into the apartment. This is like real story. They were selling missiles to the United States government. I don't know what the situation was, but it was like in parts the missiles, okay? And they were like, it was like a father and a son, and they were like storing the missile pieces or whatever in their apartment. But they were always on time with the rent, right? So it was like no problem, you can stay. And then like the police came. Everybody in the building knew about it because it was just like the craziest fucking thing. This Russian mafia member, you know, and they were allowed to stay, the Russian mafia, but like while everyone else was getting gentrified out of the building, you know, so it's just crazy. I mean, that was an isolated case. I'm not saying that that's the case for all the Russian families, but like all they care about is money. You know, like the bottom line: who has money? It doesn't matter how you come up with the money. It's just.
But that's a real world story. Like that's crazy that that's even a thing. Like you'd think that would be on a movie or a TV show. But
Y'all, dude is still up there. How long have we been talking? Dude is still up there. Jesus fucking Christ.
I might actually, I might have to go because I have to eat dinner and I gotta go to work tomorrow. So I'm
sorry to keep you so long, but yeah, thank you for coming.
No, it was nice to come.
Thank you
I
for
hope
coming.
you guys keep up your channel.
I hope you had fun. So I don't think we did this in the beginning. So tell us who you are. Your channel has been running, but just tell us who you are, what you stand for, and how they can find you.
I guess I kind of began because I used to just started this random little YouTube channel because I got tired of initially I got tired of the Anna Kasparian kind of Kyle Kalinske types. That was like my beef, but then I kind of moved on to everybody, and now I just hate everything. But so now I'm just kind of like more like Googling things about cults and stuff. But
Bit of a truth seeker, right? Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, so that's where I am. But you can watch if you want. If you don't, it's not for you. Watch your channel instead. I'm glad I found you guys your channel, and I hope you guys grow. And if not, I hope you guys have fun while you do it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
So this is Blue Moon Red Wine on YouTube. Check her out, like, subscribe, and share.
And I knew you're on Twitter. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to share your Twitter too, but
I don't really care too much about Twitter. It's just very argumentative, and it plays to my worst impulses with all the cursing. My Twitter fingers problem. So I like YouTube better actually, because at least if you curse or say something bad, people can tell that it's not with a bad intention or it's just a joke.
YouTube's all right. It's got its problems, but
yeah, I know there's censorship here too, but I feel like people don't take things as personally if it's like if they put a face to you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. Thank you for joining us today.
And may I say, we'd love to have you back. It was. I enjoyed you so much.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed you guys, so I'll see you guys later.
And maybe we can come on your show as well.
Yeah, you can use it anytime. You can even go on without me if you want to just get. Although I don't have a lot of people.
Oh, she's so kind. Look at her. She's so sweet. She's so sweet.
Well, it'd be nice if that's the way independent media needs to be if we want to be independent, right? We got to get around all the censorship and stuff.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm using it most of the time.
Cool.
Aww.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. See you.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. let's just do that there. All right, cool. So anything else you wanted to cover or announce before
Dude
we
is
get out of
still
here? You want
talking.
to hang out? Want to watch some Trump
Dude
for a
is
bit?
still talking. What is he talking? You want to hear what he's talking about?
It literally, if you
Bro.
turn him on, it'll just sound like everything he's been saying for the past several years. It'll just be like he doesn't really have much new to say. He's always just a broken record at this point. Especially he's being encouraged to make it about immigrants, like every other word out of his mouth these days. Like they have an agenda that they have to stick to, so he doesn't really get to say what he wants to say, even though
I think
he's good at making it look like it is his words.
I think he's just trying to like go on and on. I don't know. Like you don't have other people to come on until the Patriot Awards start. Like you just going on and on and on.
Well, I looked that up before the stream, and I guess that's not available in my country. So the Fox Nation thing. Go on, Bella. Go on. Go on.
Oh.
Go on. Good girl.
Leave Bella alone. Bella.
She won't leave me alone. She's begging. She probably needs a walk.
Oh, she probably needs a walk. Well, should we stop here or
Yeah, that's right. That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. He's just like going on and on and on until the Patriot Awards start. When they're gonna start in? Oh, it should be starting now. Let me see.
Yeah, if you wanted to watch if it's just going to be him talking this whole time, it's like hard to watch. But if there's going to be an actual award ceremony thing, we could watch that a bit. I'll just go like grab a beer or something. But
Go grab a beer.
this is getting a bit late. Whatever. Kind of got to get started, to be honest. Or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you want to go?
Yeah,
We can go.
I'll just be right back.
Okay. So it's just me, boys and girls, and they. Wait. How'd that happen? Hold on. It's just me, boys and girls, and they. I'm going to look for. I don't know why it's not working. I'm going to see if I can find the Patriot Awards because it should be starting now. And he's still talking. I don't understand that. Let's see. Here we go. Stream now. This should be hilarious. I want to laugh. Oh, I got it. Oh, they're saying I gotta Oh, here it goes. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Is it starting now? Or?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, somebody different. Nice. We can't quite.
The church that had been converted to a boxing ring.
Lord.
So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hid. And at that moment, he was a chosen person. And that's how I began the journey. Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump.
Oh, Lord.
We are in
the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off. So I'm in awe.
What did he pull off?
The election, I guess.
And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations.
Most ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard.
Most Americans don't even know that before George Washington, there were other presidents, and most of them were black, before the Constitution was erected. But anyway.
But
Well, you know, Sly does not do that. He doesn't
He
do
back
that
again.
stuff. And he did a beautiful job. And I want to thank you and John Boyd for being here. John,
So that's maybe
these
we were
great
doing
fight
in and
movies.
out.
I think Sly
He
has a
just
lot of
talked
them,
for
and John has
3
The
hours.
Champ. What a movie that was, right?
Maybe there were
But,
other
I
guests.
want to
who did
thank everybody for being here. You know, when Mrs. Post and E.F. Hutton, her
it. They made
husband
it
at the
master
time,
ceremonies.
when they built Mar-a-Lago many years ago, the Roaring 20s, it was the Roaring 20s, and we're hotter right now than they ever were in the Roaring 20s, I believe. And we're going to be a lot hotter, but we're going to keep it going. We're not going to have 1929 happen. Although if it would have continued the way it was, it might not have been too good. But when they built it, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew opulence. Nobody knew real luxury. Nobody knew poverty. They didn't know anything. And they learned a hard lesson. In 1929, they learned a very, very hard lesson. And we're going to turn our country around. We're going to make it so great, so strong, so powerful. We're going to bring it all back. I want to thank some people that have been so instrumental in doing such a great job in terms of not only policy, but people. And people love them. Brooke Rollins, who put this on with Linda McMahon. Linda has been a great friend of mine for a long time, right, Linda? I want to thank you very much. And the America First Policy Institute, what a job they've done. But I said, you know, the policy is much more important if we do it for 8 years than it is if we do it for 4 years. So I said, let's do this. Don't worry about your policy. Let's get out and let's win the election. But nobody knew we were going to win it the way we wanted. That was a big one. So that was really great. And Javier, I'd like to congratulate you on the job you've done for Argentina. Your speech was beautiful, but the job you've done is incredible. Make Argentina great again. You know, MAGA. He's a MAGA person.
It feels like it started over.
And you know, he's doing that. He's
Sounds
actually,
like what he said earlier, dude.
he's actually doing it. It just happens to work with DA. That one we don't have to worry about. It doesn't work so well with other.
I'm sorry.
I feel like we already heard that part. That sounds like what he said at the beginning of the show. That's weird.
I don't know. Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm gonna check.
Okay.
So, Snarky is saying there was a earthquake in California.
Yeah. At least he can complete a full sentence. Yeah, isn't that nice how high the bar has become?
Hold on. A 7.0 earthquake? Oh my God.
I didn't hear about that.
No, I haven't.
As far as
What's
earthquakes, I used to watch a channel called Dutch Synths. He had some interesting theories about earthquakes. Not sure if it's quackery or not, but it's kind of like different idea about what's causing some earthquakes compared to, like, everyone will just say it's tectonic plates and leave it at that. I feel like that's one type of earthquake. I wouldn't be surprised if there's other kinds of earthquakes that are maybe we don't understand them as well as we think we do, but that's getting into science I don't really understand. So, but Dutch Synths, I could write it out, whatever. if anyone wanted to check it out or whatever. It's
I
it's
want you to
tricky.
see this. I want you to see this for yourself. Everybody, this is what they done. The Patriot Awards. Okay, 2024. Now they let us listen to Donald Trump for how many hours? Almost 3. Okay, then the show starts. Okay, stream now, right? I'm gonna click it. Stream now.
They're gonna try and make you pay to watch.
I'm gonna let you see for yourself, baby. Checking your subscription. Create your account. So I have to pay to watch these awards. I'm not doing that. You think I would pay to watch bullshit?
You'd think that
So
that the mainstream media people would realize that funding model is not going to work. Like, people don't have money, and not for you, right? Like, maybe for some other media that's like, go see a fresh movie that you really want to go see. But
I thought it was gonna be fun to watch it, but you have to pay to see it. You have to pay to see these awards. You have to
it's
pay to
fucked up.
see these people circle and jerk
To pay for this
themselves.
whole grift, right? It's like a Ponzi scheme or whatever. Pay to watch the Ponzi scheme in action. It's kind of dumb, but people they got their hero worship or cult of personality. They're probably willing to pay for that because they're thinking it's a historic moment. Right?
Bad cookies stays with the jokes. Maybe it wasn't an earthquake. Maybe Roseanne O'Donnell just fell out of bed.
Well, I wonder who she voted for. I didn't really pay attention to what
You
she was
already
saying.
know who she voted for.
Yeah. I don't know if she's a Dem or a Republican, but I'm guessing Republican.
No. You don't know
I
about
know
Rosie
Rosie
O'Donnell?
O'Donnell from the movie show or whatever that she was in. I don't remember. I haven't paid attention to what she's been up to lately. Whatever.
Oh, she was throwing around the N word, and she's like a Chuck Norris of our day. You remember Chuck Norris?
Wow. Well, I
He
should see.
said,
I bet you there's some interesting clips worth
"Do you
checking
remember?
for Rosie
remember?
O'Donnell.
Do you remember what Chuck Norris said?
No. So like Chuck Norris,
No.
like there's like a lot of people, whatever. There's a whole past, like I know their TV stuff. When I was a kid, I don't probably understand how terrible of a person Chuck Norris is because of whatever stuff that you don't see when
Do you want
on
to
whatever
laugh?
media. So what's that?
Do you want to laugh?
Sure.
I'll pull it up.
Who doesn't want to laugh, eh?
Chuck Norris said, okay. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I haven't watched The View so much until I started watching Hardlands Media. Now it's like something I seem to be seeing a lot. So
make you laugh, child. This is hilarious. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Oh, why is this on David Pacman? I didn't ask for David Pacman. I didn't ask for him.
probably because he's asked them to put him on the top of the algorithm because he's been sinking.
I didn't ask for him. I just wanted the commercial. There it is. Okay. Just give me a second, people. If you don't mind. If you don't mind. Okay.
Gotta unmute it.
Out of growing concerns we all share.
Can you hear it?
If we look
Yeah.
at history.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chuck Norris, and this is my wife, Gina. We are here to talk about a growing concern we all share. If we look to history, our great country and freedom are under attack. We're at a tipping point, and quite possibly our country as we know it may be lost forever if we don't change the course our country is headed.
With our country at a crossroads, Chuck and I have asked ourselves what we can be doing to help support this great country we're blessed to live in, and how we can encourage our like-minded American brothers and sisters to unite and let their voices be heard. It is estimated that in the 2008 election, 30 million evangelical Christians stayed home on voting day, and Obama won the election by 10 million votes.
We know you love your family and your freedom as much as Gina and I do. And it is because of that we can no longer sit quietly or stand on the sidelines and watch our country go the way of socialism or something much worse.
Our only hope is for each of us to make sure we have not only registered to vote in the primary and the general elections for 2012, but to make sure our voices will be heard by casting our vote on Election Day.
As Edmund Burke said, all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men and women do nothing. Our great president, Ronald Reagan, said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same.
President Reagan went on to say that you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children this last best hope for man on earth, or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. If we fail, at least let our children and our children's children say of us, we justified our brief moment here. We did all that could be done.
Please stand with us. Let's unite for God and country, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. See you at the polls. Thank you.
You
So,
created
yeah,
an
sorry,
environment
That's not
in
even
which
the
I could
one.
discover.
didn't quite give
That's
me a
not
belly
even the
laugh when
one.
you were looking for it, but so I guess Chuck
That's not
Norris
even the
is,
one I was looking for.
he's like a Christo-fascist.
This motherfucker said we was going. Did he say 100 years of darkness?
Or something like that.
Sorry. Oh, Bad Cookie said, I fucked it up. I'm sorry.
Roseanne Barr. I don't know her. I'll have to
Said,
look.
Rosie O'Donnell. I don't remember who Rosie O'Donnell is. I don't really fucking care. Who is Rosie O'Donnell? Do you know who she is?
Oh, okay, that's Roseanne Barr. She was from, I forget what show she was
Rosie
on.
O'Donnell?
She's one of those shows back in the 90s or something. White people TV. Not very funny, really.
Oh shit. That's funny. Google it. I'm gonna Google it. Okay. All right, Bud Cookies. I'm gonna Google it. Rosie. Oh. What's her name? How you spell it?
O'Donnell.
I gotta look it up. O'Donnell. No, because I'm gonna give Bad Cookies his props. He deserves them. Rosie O'Donnell. I remember that name because I'm old enough. I'm 47 years old. I'm old enough to remember that name. Rosie O'Donnell.
You probably seen her face. If you see her face, you might recognize it.
Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, Trump. You could have just sent us a link. Bad Cookies. Oh, her ass.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember what that show.
Well, I would credit her for I didn't know about the Battle of I actually met Rosie O'Donnell.
Really?
To be honest, yeah.
That's funny. It's like
on
talking
the
about
red
her like
carpet.
you actually met.
I know. I know. I met her in New York City on the red carpet of um, of Glad TV. But Rosie O'Donnell was the one who told me about the Battle of Tonkin. I didn't even know the Battle of Tonkin is, and that's what got my wheels turning to the fact that they lie to us.
Hmm.
So
It's kind of funny.
I actually kind of like Rosie O'Donnell. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, it's a
So
little like you met her on a red carpet, and then she told you about the Battle of Tonkin.
no, she didn't tell me that on the red carpet. I met her on the red carpet, but I saw, um, it was like she was on some show or something, and she was like, "The Battle of Tonkin, Google it," and I was
Right.
like, "Okay, bitch, I will Google it." And I Googled it and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so I don't know what he wants me to. I Googled it.
So yeah,
And so
gotta
tell me
go
which
back.
one you want me to play,
Why are we
because
even talking about her
it's a
again,
lot of
Norris?
shit.
Oh, because she fell out of her bed, right? And made an earthquake.
No, that was
That's
oh
where she got entered into the chat with that joke.
oh okay. I like Rosie O'Donnell. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, so far, because she seemed like she on our side. She like
But I
fuck
think
all this shit.
if we analyze her politics a little bit, we probably, like Cookies was
Ah,
saying, she's a hardcore shit lib, right? So she probably says a lot of stuff to the uninitiated sounds pretty good, but especially if you become like communist, a lot of what these people say, like the shit libs, before you understand class consciousness, the shit libs sound good. Once you understand class consciousness, whatever, it's the shit that comes out, right, of the lib. So
you read that.
Chuck Norris is what happens if Tim Allen did martial arts. Nice. There's a nice mental image. You know?
We got comedians in the chat.
Now I want
Comedians in the chat.
to see Chuck Norris versus Tim Allen. Who would win?
mm, mm, mm.
Did you
Chuck,
put?
Chuck's
Oh,
instructions.
sorry, that one. Took martial arts from one of Chuck's instructors. I was gonna say, did you read that one there? Funny
Funny
story.
story. When my father was building his house, a neighbor came over and was like, "Mr. Norris, it's a pleasure to meet you." My father let them think he was Chuck Norris for 2 years. That is a funny story. Funny story. I took martial arts lessons. Did you really, Cobra? Don't lie. You know what's a funny story? I um I had my stepson took martial arts lessons from the guy that was in the Wu-Tang Clan's videos in New York City.
The RZA.
He he was beautiful too. I ain't gonna lie. Mm.
It's good to see you, XD. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Okay, so I don't think we're gonna be able to play this because I didn't realize they were gonna ask us to pay money to do it, and I'm not paying money for that shit.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's crazy.
It would have been nice to kind of see so we could laugh at them, but maybe that's why they're doing it too. Like we won't be able to make jokes at their expense if they put a paywall up. So
Everything is paywall these days. everything. Like you can't do anything for free.
Yeah. Well, that's where I mostly watch all my stuff on YouTube because I don't think most people are willing to live like I am and just refuse to get a Netflix account and a Disney account and a Crave TV, whatever. I don't want to do advertising for them or whatever, but everyone's got to get a different profile for every website now and then pay a fee. I don't do none of that. I only watch where I can watch for free, which is shitty content most of the time, but it's better than paying for shitty content, which is slightly better.
I think there's a lot of good content on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like when you find it,
Yeah.
like you got to find the right people. Like
And
us.
you do have to fight the algorithm, right? The more you find the good stuff, the more I've noticed that it is trying to kind of make me watch garbage instead. So don't put up with that.
I would just like to say my father was a black belt in karate. I'm very proud of that. He used
Sean's
to,
right. Sean says YouTube's great unless you can't think about topics, right?
oh,
It's like if you know what video you're looking
Sean.
for, you can find a lot of good stuff. But it's like music these days too, right? If you don't know the
I'd
musician,
rather this comment.
thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Oh, so should we wrap up? It's been 3 hours now.
Yeah, might as well. You know, I gotta take the dog out for a walk here. She's eagerly waiting.
Look, Bella's like, what the fuck? Are we moving? Are we grooving?
Well, Thursday, I guess, is only one day a week. If I did this more often, then she'd be more used to it. But this is the one day out of the week that's out of her routine, where normally, like, I'm just sitting in the chair over there instead I'm in the chair over here today. So
Bella is not playing with you. Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
I maybe got to be more of her boss. She likes to tell me what to do sometimes. I like it better, I guess, but I shouldn't say that stuff. People call me names.
Bella said, "This is my apartment." Okay.
Yeah, she does treat it like it's her bed, you know.
Somebody said that one time. They said, Bella said, "This is my bed.
Yeah.
Maybe you could sleep on it.
Yeah.
We'll see."
She always wants to go right in the middle. Okay, you can't just one side or the other. No, it's the whole thing. Right?
Well, as a as the person that's supposed to be training her, you need to set some boundaries and some rules because she will run you if you let her.
But if I'm gonna train her, I have to like remember or take the time out of my day to watch dog trainer videos, because like one thing I've been meaning, like I put on her harness 3 times a day for a walk. Every time I put it on, she bites at my hands when I'm trying to put it on. I'm sure if I look something up, I could find a way to stop her from doing that. But I'm lazy, right, about stuff. So, whatever.
But whatever. Okay, so I'll let you go. Take Bella out, and we'll be out. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. We're gonna have Lucy back, and we'll have more guests too.
Yeah, well, we had a couple people.
We
got
have
at
a
least
couple of
3
people
guests
lined up.
we'd like to have back. I'd say probably more, but
Yeah. Oh, and I should just say, Black Life is sick, and that's why she didn't have her show yesterday. And she's not admitting for us today. Poor thing. She has a cold or something. She thinks she might have COVID. I don't know. She's been around those kids. Those kids are something else. Stay away from the fucking kids.
Feel better. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So next time, and See you next week. We love you.
Peace. Stay good. Or as Sean says, stay amazing.